Don-O-Mite!
So Dynamite.
This is awesome! This is this, this is that, this is this! Hey everybody, have a great time!
I'm not one of these f***ing goof podcasters out there. I am Don Tony, Wednesday night, Don-O-Mite! The fuck out of here. Don't have to wear that anymore. Soon we'll have some Miro merchandise. Miro merch. Miro merch. Miro merch. By the way, did you see all the AEW haters all out in droves tonight? Trying to be the funniest, the catchiest with their insults about Miro, a WWE cast-off in AEW, this and that. Well, you know what? Guess what Miro has that most of you don't? A job! Guess what Miro has that most of you don't? A partner! Is this guy supposed to never work again because he left WWE? You know, you got to understand something. This is the difference between Impact Wrestling, or TNA, NWA TNA, and Impact Wrestling and AEW right now. By the way, welcome to episode 50. Yeah, I think that's right on the count. 50th Wednesday Night Dynamite episode. You know, I actually do appreciate the podcasters that are out there now. New, up and coming. Matthew Rychecki, happy Miro Day. Yeah, we can't celebrate. People are so bitter. So bitter. Matthew, I will share some love with you in a moment. Actually, you know what? I want to put your super chat up, not because of what you contributed, and I thank you very much for that, but I want Miro's name shown as I say this. I've been doing this since 1997. I was doing this when NWA TNA first started, and I remember myself included, always talking about WWE cast-offs, going to TNA, going to TNA, going to... Now, people obviously did it for various reasons. Lighter schedule, better pay, you know, per appearance, you know, being able to stay home with your family a little more, whatever the reason being. But here's the difference between what I used to say about NWA TNA and TNA and AEW when they signed people like Miro. See, back then, you would see people from the WWE sign with NWA TNA, and they'd be the focal point. And you would see a lot of wrestlers who should have been homegrown talent in TNA, and they would get pushed by the side, and then they would have to form factions to fight everybody who would leave, like WWE and others. And it just felt like they were just putting people there. There was really no sense of direction, and it sucked. Like AJ Styles said recently, Dixie should have just left it up to the writers and the performers. The X Division caught fire. I don't even care about the six-sided ring, but we don't need to go back to the history. But you see where I'm going with this. AEW has a core nucleus of young stars that they are building slowly. MJF, Darby Allin, now Ricky Starks. I could go on and on. Sammy Guevara is another. Then you have the Young Bucks, Kenny Omega, Hangman Page, Cody Rhodes, Lucha Bros, Jurassic Express, another young team. They're not burying all of them because Miro comes in. Tay Conti comes in, even though she didn't really ever get much of a chance in WWE. They are basically taking some household names and giving them a fresh start. I'll never understand these goofs. Yes, I don't want to curse tonight. Goofs. These goofs that someone loses their job, whether they stunk in another company or they were treated badly or misused, and they get a job in AEW, and it's the cycle, the ongoing cycle. You know, crack a joke, crack an insult, you know, be really, really harsh. And then when people start fighting back at you, then you're like, oh, everybody lighten up. I'm just kidding around. No, you're not. As soon as Miro's face showed, I did an advanced Twitter search to see the reaction. And you see the AEW haters out there. Do you ever hear me talking about the Kardashians? Do you ever hear me talking about country music? Do you ever hear me talking about love and hip hop? Do you ever hear me talking about, really at all, the Real Housewives of Atlanta? Do you ever hear me talking about all of these other companies? No, because I don't watch them. I don't like them. I'm not fans of them. But I move on. AEW is a promotion that there's so many people out there that they say, I hate it, I hate it. Look, I even brought this up over the weekend. I wrote a tweet, look everybody, I'm not watching the Kardashians tonight. That's all I wanted to tell everybody. And people are like, why are you telling us this? I said, okay, now replace the word Kardashians with AEW. Replace the word Kardashians with NXT. Replace the word Kardashians with Impact Wrestling. And then you realize how much of a goof you sound like. The reason why these people do this is because they are so irrelevant and so lonely that they have to be involved in every conversation going on in the world so they feel relevant, feel important. Instead of maybe going on eHarmony and maybe finding a significant other, going on jobs.com and maybe finding a job instead of whining for a year that, hey, I got no work, I got no money, I got all these bills, go fund me, go do this, go do that, blah, 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 blah. Instead of maybe cleaning your room, brushing your teeth, even Puff the podcaster, who thought he was the best man of Kip Sabian tonight, even Puff has a little bit of work. Instead of doing things that you enjoy, doing things that may not get you 5 likes, that may not get you attention, that may not get you any, attention. That's what it is. They gotta be part of every conversation. Miro, he should just be a Twitch guy. He has no right working for AEW, because the minute somebody leaves a promotion and they go for a promotion that you don't like, suddenly, oh no, Miro should stay on the unemployment line like most of you goofs out there. The guy got a job. He's working for AEW. Who knows? Maybe his career will turn around now. And you know what's the best part, everybody? I don't want to name federations. I don't want to name individual wrestlers. But you look over the last 2 years, some wrestlers who have left some companies for others. And it happens to be people that some of these goofs like. And when they go to another company, I mean, seriously, this is what they're doing. They're all coming. They're blowing loads. They're blowing loads. But Miro works for a company that you don't like, and it's joke, insult. I hate these people. I swear to God, I hate these people. It's not 8-year-olds. It's not 10-year-olds. These are 25, 35, 45, 65-year-old people doing this stuff. And thank God, I have 90% of the people I follow muted, because I didn't even look at their pages. I could only imagine what is out there. So honestly, I may not be the most polite person out there. I may be a little bit brash. I got a wet floor right now, but it's seltzer. It'll dry. But I'm honest. I'm straight up. I don't know how Miro is going to end up doing in AEW, but you know what? He had this huge smile on his face. Sure, he's supposed to be sort of a heel with Kip Sabian, but it felt good for him. It felt good for the fans to see him in AEW. You don't like it? Then do something else. Talk about something else. Talk about something that you like. I swear to God, you know? There you go. Miro is all elite, and I'm happy for him. Now, WWE sometimes could be very petty. Now, Miro tonight talks about 10 years going for a brass ring, take that brass ring and shove it up your ass. I saw goofs on social media. I'm sick and tired of these WWE cast-offs or former employees that have to always insult the company when they debut somewhere else. You know what? Maybe it feels good to them. I think if they feel they've been mistreated, misused, not handled all that properly, what's the matter? Does Andrew Yang have to talk about how bad WWE treated Miro and now all of a sudden you're cool with it? If a wrestler leaves an employer and is not happy about it and wants for 30 seconds to basically say, you know what, go to hell with your brass ring stuff. This is my new home. I'm all elite. You know what? They're the ones that got screwed, not you. So if you don't like it, maybe you should look at your profile and say, how come next to employment it has question mark? How come next to relationship status it says private, which really means, you know, single, lonely? I hate these goofs. I swear to God, I hate these goofs. Tay Conti. She faced Nyla Rose today. Not a bad match. Vicky getting involved a little bit, excuse me. And Tay Conti gets the loss. Did you see Tay Conti when she came out for her match? Legitimately choked up. Had to take a deep breath because she's got a fresh new start now in AEW. Today, she officially signed her contract with AEW. Tay Conti is now a member of that roster. In a losing defeat tonight, not a big deal. She's got a whole career ahead of her. What's the matter? Are the goofs afraid to rip former WWE women? Don't give me, well, she really never did much in WWE. Do you notice the pattern? Do you notice how these goofs, most of the time, will lay off the women when they change employers? Because they don't want to have to deal with the wrath of being, you know, whatever. Tay Conti is pretty good. She still has a long way to go. She's not completely polished. She's got a bright career ahead. I think the problem with WWE was that there were too many people that were above her on the food chain. I don't know what the backstage stuff is with her in WWE, but she's got a fresh start. You look at that emotion when she first came out for a match, that's genuine. And you know what? Props to her. Props to anybody out there that tries to take, you know, a situation and make it better. Nobody out there is supposed to get another job. Nobody out there is supposed to maybe improve themselves. No. These people are so bitter on social media is so toxic. It is so toxic. I use it mostly to promote my own stuff, you know, and I socialize with a lot of you privately. I think I DM people 10 times more than I tweet. You know, we keep in touch with each other, but man, I saw that tonight with the bitter folk. I thought that was so disgusting. So disgusting. The guy is legitimately happy, and, you know, just knock, insult, knock, insult, taken to task. Oh, just suddenly everybody's a stand-up comedian. I'm just joking about Miro. That's what I have to say. So that is my little Miro rant. I hope Matthew and everybody else enjoyed it. We're going to talk tonight about AEW Dynamite. We're going to talk a little bit about last night's NXT, which I absolutely loved. If you want to hear a little bit of a detailed recap, you could check out the DTKC show, which is on Patreon. I'm not, like I said, it's not a money grab on everybody out there. It's just our patrons are, you know, really the glue that allows even all the shows I do online that are not Patreon, I keep them free. Yeah, there's some ads here and there, but, you know, when you got server expenses, taxes, equipment, and all, they really do a lot. And they want the DTKC show to remain, and it's on there. You know, for the tens of thousands of people who tuned into the shows going back to as far as 2006. You know how many people signed up on Patreon over the last 2 weeks since we moved there? 19. I think today 2 more, 21. So, you know, it's over there if anybody wants to check it out, but I promise you, you have my word. Everybody that is seeing this and hearing this right now, I will never, ever skimp on any of my shows as a way to, oh, you got to go here. We give additional content there. I do a show with Mish. Kev does a solo show. He's got a show with his lady friend. I mean, there's a lot of different content there. So it's basically, you know, you want more, it's there. But we're going to talk about NXT. Now, no NXT rating as of yet. A little surprised. There wasn't a holiday yesterday. The holiday was Monday. But, you know, no rating. We'll have it tomorrow. This Friday, I'll have the quarter hours for both shows. Now, some of you out there might be a little confused about AEW Dynamite next week. When is it airing? I will tell you right now, plan on your schedule that AEW Dynamite airs next Wednesday. I know for the last month, they've been pushing Thursday for Dynamite. Now, here's where I think AEW made a big mistake today. Then again, this could be TNT's decision more than anything else. But for the last month, they've been telling everyone that next week's Dynamite will air Thursday, September 17th. Yes, 17th at 8 p.m. Eastern because of the NBA playoffs. So that's the plan for the last month. Tonight, they plugged it again. But then they said, well, you know, that may change. If the playoffs end in a game 6, then there is no game next Wednesday, and therefore Dynamite will be on Wednesday. I know NXT returns to Wednesday next week, which might be only temporary, which we've talked about for like 2 months now. Everybody's only figuring it out now. But if I was AEW, they should have left next week for Thursday. Even if game 6 ends with the playoffs and there is no game 7, they should have left it for Thursday. I know what a lot of you are going to say, well, maybe they have nothing to replace the next Wednesday if there's no game 7. I get that. But now it feels like, you know, there's going to be, or you know what you could do? You could air Dynamite 8 p.m. Wednesday next week, 8 p.m. Thursday next week, and just suck up the ratings defeat if that happens. That a lot of fans thought it was airing on Thursday, did not realize it was going to be on Wednesday, because I'm telling you right now, if game 6 ends that playoffs next week and AEW chooses to air Dynamite next Wednesday instead of Thursday, you're going to get a lot of people online that are going to be like, oh, come on, man, I thought it was Thursday. I didn't even know it was on. And you're going to have a lot of pissed off people. Not a whole lot, but some. So, anyway, later on tonight, we're going to announce the winner of this, Ivelisse. I plugged it 2 weeks ago for everybody that was involved. And, you know, if you look at it up closely, I don't know if maybe I could do a little side by side, but you could see it's the real thing. There you go. And, you know, somebody actually sent me an email and said, oh, how do we have proof that she actually signed it? Well, there you go. All right. And it comes Beckett authenticated, you know, so we're going to announce the winner. I did the drawing earlier. I recorded the video live, so there's no way of me finagling the contest. And we'll announce the winner. Also, the next prize. Oh, I forgot to upload the picture. The next giveaway we're going to do, I think this is going to be fun. What we're going to do for the next prize, and it starts tonight, and all you have to do in tonight's video, the comment section, you know, don't just write hashtag in the letters. You know, write something you liked about NXT or Dynamite or your views on Miro signing. And look, if you think the signing of Miro in AEW is a bad idea, I absolutely respect that. Not everybody's going to think this is a wise decision by AEW. My rant is for the people out there who just every week have to broadcast to the world that they're not watching AEW, and then they watch it anyway, and then they rip it to shreds, and then at the end of the night, oh, we're just all wrestling fans, just having fun, can't we all just get along until the following week? It's the ongoing cycle. It's the ongoing cycle. So you could speak out about anything you'd like, but there's people out there that are just absolutely bitter. So you got to use the hashtag WND like we've done the last couple of episodes. Anybody out there that might be new to the show, by the way, welcome aboard. All you got to do is just look at the comment section and you'll get an idea as far as how to do it. But what we're going to do is 2 weeks from today, we're going to have two winners. And we're going to let two people out there choose their choice of any AEW wrestling figure from the first series. That is your choice of 5 right there. You got Cody, Kenny Omega, the Young Bucks, and Chris Jericho. We'll have two winners. I will pick two winners at random. I will stream it. I will record it so everybody knows that the contest is straight up legit. And they'll have their choice of anything you see on the list. So that'll be the prize. We'll do that drawing 2 weeks from now. And then from there, maybe we'll rotate. Every other contest will be an AEW prize or an NXT prize, or maybe, we'll do something else. A lot of people wanted me to do something else with Thunder Rosa. So, I got to find something really cool to get of hers. It's not as easy as you think. She's got, 8x10s signed. She's got shirts. But I got to find a really cool prize of Thunder Rosa. A lot of you have requested that. And if you all have any particular wrestlers or any suggestions, by all means, post it on there, email me, DM me on Twitter. I'm always listening to everybody's suggestions, so we'll pull the winner of that in a little bit. And speaking of Ivelisse, she is going to be wrestling Thunder Rosa for the NWA Women's Championship next week on Dynamite. Fabulous, fabulous match. Again, I'm concerned about NWA. I've given you my reasons. The 20-year plan has now got to be the 25-year plan minimum. They still have a lot of talents that are part of NWA, but they have lost a lot. And it looks like Stu Bennett, Wade Barrett, John Gold, he is going to be the play-by-play or, the color band for NXT, period. The fact that WWE already announced Nigel McGuinness doing NXT UK, yeah, sure, he can do both brands. Why not? He's not moving back overseas to do this. He's actually going to do a remote a la Beth Phoenix style. But the fact that they already announced Nigel for NXT UK, that tells me that Wade Barrett, Stu Bennett, already has pretty much locked the deal with WWE. I look, no one will ever replace Mauro Ranallo. Nobody. But I love Stu Bennett's voice. When Jim Cornette first was let go for NWA, I was a little bit on the fence as far as Wade Barrett doing commentary. Anybody think I'm lying? Go back to the following week when he debuted NWA doing commentary. I was right on this show praising the hell out of it. Absolutely love his commentary. Very, very serious. Not your quintessential wise ass, or heel announcer, but very, very, he gets your attention. And I absolutely love his work, but that is a tremendous loss for NWA. I'll make a prediction. I actually made this prediction 2 weeks ago with Mish when we did Breakfast Soup on Patreon. NWA is going to hire back Dave Lagana. They got to hire back Dave Lagana. I know that whole story with that woman is just more weird than controversial. They got to bring him back. Anybody that passed by their Patreon, or may have subscribed for a month, or maybe you still do, that a lot of the outside revenue that NWA was going to try to grab with Carneyland, when Dave Lagana was let go because of that controversy, Carneyland took a major hit. So They got to bring him back. Jim Cornette, I'm not so high on that, but I don't know who you bring in. My original idea, even though he doesn't sound NWA, even though, remember, ECW used to be NWA, Eastern Championship Wrestling. I always thought Joey Styles needs to be back commentating. Joey Styles, come on, man. It's not like he's 75 years old, where some people may feel, he's lost a little bit of an edge. That guy could still go. Everybody know, unless he just fell so out of love with pro wrestling that he just does not want to do it anymore. All of these years, that stupid joke about Trump and grabbing by the you-know-what. It was a bad joke. It was distasteful. Very, very odd to hear that come out of Joey Styles' mouth. But everybody and their mother knows Joey Styles is one of the nicest, most genuine people to ever come out of pro wrestling. No controversy whatsoever. And cancer culture, because they have to feast on somebody, they just went off on this guy, and he that was it. Gone. Absolutely gone. Speaking of cancer culture, Velveteen Dream appears on NXT again. And look, man, I don't enjoy, and I don't try to tease the haters that are just obsessed with Velveteen Dream. I have, since day one, told you why I did not believe a lot of the claims out there. If people legitimately had legal issues with Velveteen Dream, there was no reason to lie about it. Yup. And I say this now, whenever somebody sends me an email or wants to tweet me and challenge me about the situation, I've narrowed it down to basically 2 or 3 sentences. These people out there that are still claiming that something illegally was done to them, why have they not gone to authorities? Why are they still sitting by the phone waiting, or should I say hoping for a phone call from Triple H or Vince McMahon? If this guy did so wrong that you're tormented, traumatized, you're a victim, why have they not gone to investigators? Why have they not filed a cyber complaint? They're friends. Why haven't their friends done it? And the answer is simple. Because by never going that far to an investigator, you never get an investigator that says you didn't do anything wrong. Triple H, WWE, like I said on one of my shows, you think WWE, they have a legal department, obviously, but they don't have people in their department, hey, Lisa, come here, I got a case for you. No, WWE hired outside investigators to basically do forensics and this and that with Velveteen Dream's permission. Velveteen Dream gave authorization to let some of his stuff be scrubbed that was pertaining to this. If Velveteen Dream would have resisted with that, WWE probably would have let him go. But the point is that Triple H says there was an investigation done. We did one internally. When he says we did one internally, people can't be playing semantics here. They don't have, hey, Jose, Vinica, come here, Andre, vamos, come here. I got a case for you. I want you to scrub forensics, Velveteen Dreams. No, they had their own investigation. They hired outside people that are experts in this, and they found nothing. People were angry when Triple H said they found nothing. It's $1 billion publicly traded stock company. And they're going to lie publicly, repeatedly, for a guy like this? Is this guy worth it? So people out there do not want a conclusion, because if these victims or so-called victims and others hired an outside investigator and did forensics, went to a district attorney, filed a cyber complaint, and everybody comes back and says, no, we checked the forensics for his number, his phone, his cell phone service. You solicited from the company. It's funny how many people out there that think that if somebody texts something illegal to somebody, that if they delete it, then it's gone forever. That's not how it works. But these people out there don't want a conclusion. by an investigator outside, hired by the alleged victims. If an investigator says, no, he didn't do anything wrong, that's it. They have nothing and no justification to do what they're doing online. And that's going to continue. And show me otherwise. Like I said, just ask yourself, why have they not on their own? The almighty phone call from Triple H has never contacted me. What could they say? You think they're going to just show you all the forensics and it? Yeah. No. So Velveteen Dream gets attacked by Kushida. Velveteen Dream tweets the video from NXT and he disables comments. Now again, I don't believe in tormenting people because you never know. I'm not around Velveteen Dream late at night. There's always a possibility that some of this could be true. Absolutely. But when he posted the video of Kushida attacking him and he disabled comments, I swear to God, you got to do, everybody out, you got to do a social media search. These are people in massive withdrawal that they're so bitter that he would not allow people to curse him out, that people are retweeting his video and using that as a way to curse him out. Cancel culture, I think I said cancer. Cancel culture on social media comes in all shapes and sizes, comes in all colors, genders, faces, friendly voices. It's just people do it to a different level. The Miro stuff tonight, that's not on the level of Velveteen Dream. But, some people just come with smiling faces. People just need to hate on something. They need to hate on something. I will criticize things, but if I hate something, then I don't pay attention to it. I stay away from it. Roberto says, my Trump country. Roberto, I think you're a little late for the program because I saw some of your comments on some of my posts. I have said this probably 30 or 40 times already. I am nowhere near the Trump supporter I used to be. There's a lot of things that he has said and done that I don't like. Okay? So, I appreciate, your comments and always speak out. I respect it. But don't paint me as your typical Trump supporter because there's a lot of things that I disagree with him with. So anyway, enough of that. Jim Valley, name that you probably haven't heard on any other podcast, maybe Observer, because he did some Wrestling Observer Radio. I talked about his severe illness about 2 weeks ago. He's got that illness where the narrowing of the blood vessels and it prevents blood flow and oxygen to organs. He is now on a ventilator and he's still in ICU. So I know there's enough of you out there that actually know who he is and actually do care. Keep him in your prayers because, I don't want to spell demise on this guy. You don't want to do that to anybody. But, I know a lot of you know about ventilators because of COVID. But when you go on a ventilator and a machine is now taking control of your lungs and breathing and this and that, it's not good. It's not good. There's some people, I think, mix up ventilators with the machines you use at night for sleep apnea when you put oxygen. That is forcing extra oxygen into your nose so you get enough oxygen to help you sleep, helps your body repair because it needs oxygen. But a ventilator is basically like, Jim, don't worry about breathing. I'll do it for you. If a ventilator could talk, that's never good. So keep him in your prayers. So, also, I want to mention something else. Big supporter of the family. La Familia Nostra. That's what we all are. La Familia Nostra. We're all a family here. And I really mean that. There's a kid out there. Him and his family rescued like a 2-year-old beagle. And the beagle needs some major heart surgery. No, this is not a pup situation. Anybody remembers that? And go figure. If anybody remembers Pup and the Lex Express going off on me, Go figure that somebody approaches me. It's a big follower of the show, friend of the show, and the kid's name is Lex. I kid you not. And there's a charity drive going on right now to raise money so this beagle could get heart surgery. Now, the difference is they're actually selling things to raise money. They're not asking, like I always tell all of you out there, I don't care if I know them personally, when somebody approaches you to ask you to donate money for some type of a cause for whatever reason, always insist on seeing proof. Somebody says, I need money for vet, like for this surgery. The first thing I did for this guy is, what vet is this your dog going to be used for? When somebody says, I need money because I'm being evicted from my house, all right, what's the name of your landlord? Somebody says, I need money because otherwise my utilities are going to get turned off. I don't need all your personal information. Everybody out there knows that a lot of these companies now, banks, utility companies, they do quick pay. All you got to do is put in basic info and you can make a one-time payment. You don't have to log in people's stuff. Always insist on proof. Because more than not, even though the person may sound sincere or may be telling you, chances are, if they're not employed, the money's going in their own pocket. So in this case, there's a website, LexLuckyRocks.com. Go check it out. It's actually a pretty cool website. I'm actually going to buy a couple little stones. My fiance, her brother's got this really nice fish tank, and they got some really nice things over there. I'm going to pick up some and put in a tank, and it is going to a legitimate cause. I looked it up. So completely optional, but I just wanted to mention it, but let's move on. I'm looking at my results and the recaps. So let's get into AEW Dynamite. And during this recap, we'll pull the winner of the Ivelisse personally worn and signed hat. Yeah, she actually wore it. That's why when I post the picture, that's her wearing the hat. So, but anyway, AEW opens up tonight. This was pretty funny. This is times where I want to show the video, but I can't because I don't know if AEW is going to get angry. I know a couple of podcasters out there who have been hit with copyright strikes simply for posting 5 seconds of video from AEW or WWE. So I don't want to take that chance. But they opened up Dynamite with Tony Schiavone outside the building. And, look, it was a funny segment. Might have been a little bit too overly produced, to be honest with you, because, if you remember the last time, remember when Jericho and MJF were in the ring together many, many months ago, and they started doing a segment that sounded a lot like Kevin Owens and Jericho, where they would show him back and forth. And remember when Jericho, Kevin Owens, and they were blaming something, and they all both at the same time at the very end they went Roman Reigns, like it was Roman Reigns' fault. They did. BJ, I never showed the Evan Bourne video. Never showed the video. I showed the GIF. There's a big difference between a 2 or 3 second GIF and actual video with sound and everything else. I know what you can and can't do. Showing a 2-3 second GIF or GIF, however you pronounce it, with Jericho and MJF looking at each other with Schiavone, that's nothing. That's goofy. But anyway, so the last time that Jericho and MJF went back and forth, it felt kind of like Kevin Owens' Jericho skit. Not a big deal. It was funny nonetheless. Felt like they did the same thing again tonight. Jericho and MJF pull up at the same time. Could have even been the same type of vehicle. They got to be perfectly centered in front of Schiavone. Like if Schiavone was this bottle, Jericho's truck had to pull up right here. MJF's truck had to pull right. Like it had to be exactly the same. And Schiavone, talks about their matches, and MJF is taking credit for his. Jericho's taking credit. They're going back and forth. Neither one had a good night. You remember All Out. And they're doing a skit. I mean, it was comical, maybe a little bit overproduced, but, you know, it opens up the seed planting that maybe MJF and Jericho might have a feud down the line. Maybe they form an alliance down the line. I don't know which way they would go. VJ, I know you were asking about other podcasters, but honestly, I can't worry about other podcasters. I got to worry about myself and you all, the Donzilla Army. You know, I mean, if other podcasters out there, they do their thing, you know, they got to be very careful and very prepared. And if somebody doesn't know, you know, they may learn the hard way. It's always good to do a little research and preparation before just throwing out, because trust me, there's a lot of little things we could do on these shows that would get a lot more attention, but I don't want to do it at the risk of copyright strikes. So Miguel says that I'm turning into the biggest goof online. Hey, if you think I'm a goof, that's cool. I'm definitely a goof sometimes. We're all goofs sometimes. But, you know, when we're goofs, we're usually wise asses and this and that. But, you know, you saw what the Miro stuff tonight was just ridiculous. That, like I said, this is not 10-year-olds doing it. These are adolescents and in some cases senior citizens doing it. Really, really, really pathetic. Really pathetic. What do I think about Miro's current look, Ken? I don't know. It's almost like Matt Hardy with the red streak. You know, like you look at photos and videos, the red streak, oh, that's Matt Hardy AEW. You know, so they wanted to have a defining different look about Miro, and that's what they chose to do. You know, I don't think it was that big of a deal. Now, if he ends up with a bushy afro and he's got that, like the, who used to do that? Who was in Doom that he had the blonde hair for a little while? What's his face did it too? I'm the greatest. Oh my God, I'm drawing blanks tonight. Butch Reed. Butch Reed was one that did it. Sonny Kiss has a little bit of that also. But there was Ernest Cat Miller. That's who it was. So if he starts growing it out, yeah, maybe it might look a little But I didn't think it was that big of a deal. By the way, Sonny Kiss tonight. Great performance. I mean, I didn't think that Janela and Sonny Kiss would go to win, but Sonny Kiss really stood out. Again, I talked about this before numerous times, and I talk about it again. You know, defeating Chris Jericho doesn't always have to be done in order for somebody to help somebody gradually go to the next level. Is Sonny Kiss going to be a future AEW heavyweight champion? I don't know. I mean, a lot of us, you know, some people will never admit it, but most of us over the years, never in a million years ever thought Kofi Kingston would have been WWE heavyweight champion. I think more because of his size than anything else, not about black or anything. But Sonny Kiss, you know, I don't know. I mean, you never know, you know, who could be champion. Did anybody out there early on ever think Daniel Bryan would ever get a shot to go that far and become heavyweight champion? So, you know, some people always be like, oh, I knew it all along. You know, I don't know. But Jericho tonight, once again, helping bring, you know, to me, Sonny Kiss to another level. Now, look, you don't just have a match with Jericho and then, boom, next level. No, but the thing is that it shows that he can hang, you know, with Hager. He can hang with Jericho. Maybe in the end, doesn't get the victory, but, you know, little by little, look at Luchasaurus and Jungle Boy. Jungle Boy is still very, very young in his career. Jungle Boy still has a lot to go to become, you know, I don't want to say a legitimate champion, but Jungle Boy needs more seasoning to be looked at as a champion. Future champion, absolutely. Jungle Boy is still very early in his career where every time he's in the ring, there could be a tag team title. And I think tonight's, you know, interaction with FTR kind of showed it. That, you know, you could do high-flying spots, and Luchasaurus and Jungle Boy are a great tag team. But there's a lot more than, being able to wrestle and do decent work in the ring than being champions. That segment with FTR and Jurassic Express tonight, to me, felt flat, really flat. They're going to have a match next week. This is basically just to feel, just put feelers out there. There's no chance FTR is losing the tag titles this soon. But, you do this. But here's my point. You remember when Jericho fought Jungle Boy? I thought it was such a foolish move by AEW. A lot of you remember when I said this. Number one, I think Jungle Boy was like 0-12. Something like that at the time. And, right away you had people on social media saying, why is he getting a title shot? Look at his record. And the storyline that I wanted to see was the same as Rocky 1. Jericho should have said he's going to give somebody, an underdog, a championship shot. He could have selected Jungle Boy, and Jungle Boy could have been shown training and everything like that. Not that he wins, but maybe, Jericho just squeaks it out, or Jungle Boy surprisingly does well. It doesn't lead to Rocky 2, where Jungle Boy beats Jericho and gets the title, but that would have been the easiest storyline. If Jericho says, I'm going to give someone who is not worthy a shot, that's an insult to Jungle Boy. That's an insult to Jungle Boy's fans. But by doing that, you can't bring up the 0-12 scenario. So now, remember how social media was not thrilled about Jericho giving that shot to Jungle Boy? Now look at Jungle Boy now. 8-9 months later, he's getting a tag title shot with Luchasaurus. They're not going to win, but nobody's, complaining or anything like. Hell, didn't Jurassic Express just lose to the Young Bucks? They're getting a title shot. So, and by the way, I think even though Tony Khan has yet to publicly apologize for restarting the match, for making some mistakes Saturday, it's a learning process. It's a growing process. Everybody makes mistakes. I make mistakes. You all make mistakes. Maybe not on that level. I've made mistakes in my lifetime that ended up being 10 times worse. And I'm sure a lot of you have as well. But Tony Khan, yet, in my opinion, I thought the most needed thing he needed to do was publicly apologize, saying that things ended up not as they should, that, in hindsight, the match shouldn't have started. Everybody would have forgave and moved on. You know who would have ripped him still? The goofs that ripped about Miro tonight. You can't escape that. But the thing is that, you learn from your mistakes. And I think, as crazy as this sounds, I think the biggest mistake that AEW has learned from All Out is not necessarily that they restarted the match. I know some of you out there will be like, DT, what are you, stupid? DT, you're a goof for saying that. I think they learned more from what happened, not that they restarted the match, but that over-the-top stipulation that Matt Hardy must leave AEW. If they would have never put that stipulation in, they could have come to any conclusion they wanted, and that would have been fine. But you look at how AEW has been so strict that they adhere to all of the stipulations. Cody, he lost his shot to ever getting the title. And by the way, man, as much as I liked AEW tonight, man, did they not do a solid for Dustin Rhodes. This guy all week, we brought it up over the weekend. Dustin Rhodes has not had a title shot on regular TV outside of a pay-per-view in 16 years. They did a great job building this up, even though I think we all knew the outcome tonight. But before anybody could really have any emotion about Dustin losing, here is the major announcement with Cody. Just go figure. The big show just gets canceled. And now AEW is plugging the Big Go Show or Go Big Show. So talk about overshadowing Dustin versus Brodie Lee. That was the earth-shattering Cody announcement. Remember 2-3 weeks ago I said right after the pay-per-view, Cody, he's go, maybe I should go home and find myself. Remember I said all that? He kind of said that tonight. He says, people have said I should go home. And I don't think he was talking about me. I know he wasn't. They don't like my style, so they're not going to be tuning in. But man, why couldn't that have been done at like beginning of hour 2 or after, a great match? Dustin, it's all emotional all week and this and that, blah, 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 blah. He loses. The carcass is not even cold yet. And here's Dustin promoting some goofy game show. And the game show might end up being good, but man, was that just bad for Dustin. Bad for Dustin. 316 MMA, do I think that they signed a deal with NWA? I don't know. Like I have said before, NWA right now is in trouble. It's in trouble because everybody has suffered dearly from COVID. Every promotion, every wrestler. Well, not necessarily, because if you paid attention to my rants since last Friday about WWE, Twitch, and all, you see what's happening now? Everything that you and I talked about last Friday ended up being true. And all of these websites, pun intended, that went all in on going negative on WWE are now trying to figure out how do they get their tail from right now the tail's between their legs. Now they're trying their damage control. And now they're basically, what they did was they ruined their foundation. So they're trying to rebuild it in numerous posts. Oh, WWE now is going to allow YouTube and allow Twitch with their real names. That was never an issue in the first place. AJ Styles even hinted that, some people, they didn't know where the line was drawn, and some people went too far. Remember what I said Friday? You give an inch, people take a foot. It was in the contract since day one. People now realize all this play on words of owning real names. I gave you the lesson Friday. You knew that was fake. So now what these sites are doing is they're saying, oh, WWE has changed their mind about this. And they're considering this. And they're tweaking it. And you're going to see there's going to be a little drip with this for the next week or two. And that's done by design so they can make it look like, no, they were right all along. WWE is making changes. No. Basically, what's happening now is WWE has to, in the future, add more words in the contract. So now, get back to AEW, okay? See why I'm bringing all this up. You have AEW with all of these ridiculous stipulations, like the Matt Hardy one. I don't know who in AEW thought that Matt Hardy versus Guevara, a broken rules match, is not strong enough that we have to tease that Matt Hardy can't be there anymore. So AEW now is doing their own damage control, trying to get at us. Now, Matt Hardy today showed up on Dynamite. Rebby was in the audience with their newborn. And Rebby, you could see, was very emotional. And I give props to AEW and Matt Hardy for tonight. Because I don't know about all of you out there, but what does it mean, Gene Oakland? Oh, I don't want to curse. Remember when he did the SummerSlam thing and the thing fell down? Did you see that? I should do them. Let's do it once. Remember Mean Gene Oakland? Fuck it. All right, I cursed once tonight. Come on. No, you know what that is? I used those command strips early on, and I don't have my glue around, but I used command strips when I first put up posters, and I realized that the command strips suck. So now I'm using glue. But I got to be careful because glue, it creates dust, and I don't want glue to get on this stuff. So tomorrow we fix it. We don't have to worry about that right now. Bucket. So anyway, AEW now is doing their own damage control. And I think tonight's Dynamite showed you that they're going to treat stipulations in the future much differently. And I'll tell you why. Up until now, whenever there was a specific stipulation, they would adhere to it. Cody's done the interviews. We're not like other feds. We go do something, we stick with it. Well, they learned their lesson big time Saturday. Don't do a dumb stipulation where Matt Hardy has to win the match. They put themselves in a corner, and I will bet you everything that I own that they put the trust in Matt Hardy. He said he was good enough to go, and Tony Khan continued that match because they did not want to figure out or go against the fact that, hey, Matt Hardy loses, he's done from AEW, and then do that and then bring him back. As ridiculous as that sounds, I guarantee. As much as I told you Friday last week what was going to go down with WWE with all that stuff, and I was 100% right, and a lot of you were as well, I'm saying the same thing with AEW. They learned from Saturday. Example number one, Eddie Kingston. He never technically was eliminated from that Battle Royal. Yet, the winner still sticks, Lance Archer. Why is that? If you think about everything that AEW said, that we stick to this, and it's not, well, the referee didn't see it or anything like that. Technically, Eddie Kingston never lost that match. So AEW never gave a statement for it. They never explained it. MJF. The contract was plain and simple. Moxley was not allowed, I'm talking storyline right now. Moxley was not allowed to use the paradigm shift. Not when the referee is looking or not looking, and he used it and won the match. Now in storyline, why wouldn't MJF insist and show footage that he used a move that was banned from the match? It was part of the contract, therefore I should be champion right now. AEW turned a blind eye to that. So I think AEW is now going to start being a little bit looser with some of these stipulations, and this gets them out of stuff. The Young Bucks, didn't we have something recently where somebody put their hands, was it Nyla Rose or someone else, somebody put their hands on an official and mandatory suspension for like 30 days or 10 days or whatever it was? The Young Bucks, now $5,000 fine. Why? So they could be on TV next week. So you could see AEW now is starting to realize, hey, you know what? Stipulations are not as important as we think it is, and we're an entertainment company, so we got to stop with this adhering and being so specific about that. Yeah, Sam, it was a while ago, but it's not the point. You remember? No, we're not like the other companies when we said we're going to adhere to it. What's the purpose? The whole contract, and I know you might think I'm playing with semantics here, but the storyline with MJF, the contract was simple. Moxley was not allowed to use the paradigm shift, otherwise he loses the title. Storyline, why wouldn't he just show that footage? Tony Khan, what are you going to do about this? So, and I think this is a plus. I think this is a plus for AEW to not take some of these stipulations so seriously. And I think now this opens up the door for Cody to have a match before the end of next year. I know that might sound like a long ways away, but trust me, by all out of next year, Cody may be involved in a match where he could fight for the title again. Maybe he's feuding with someone who is a champion, and that champion insists, something is going to change. Cody will get a heavyweight title shot again down the line. So, anyway, so Jericho and MJF, excuse me. Jericho and MJF pull up together. They're basically mimicking each other. And then, like I said, maybe too much of a produced segment. As they walk away from Shivani, they're on a split screen, and they basically say at the very same time, what a loser, about each other. So, it was a funny segment, but maybe a little bit too choreographed, but, it did what it needed to do. Lucha Brothers losing to Jurassic Express. In my opinion, Lucha Bros, I think, are losing a little bit too much in AEW. The idea of Eddie Kingston being the remedy for the rut that the Lucha Bros or Butcher and Blade are in right now, I think I know a lot of you out there feel the same way as me. Even though they want to have their own faction, own this, own that, but I think a lot of you out there would love to see Eddie Kingston, Ivelisse, Santana, and Ortiz reform their faction. Something happens. Santana and Ortiz have a fall. I know a lot of you out there, there's Inner Circle, so much merchandise of Inner Circle with his 5 heads, and they would have to revamp all the Inner Circle merchandise if 2 of those people leave, whether they're replaced with others or they're not. And plus, if they leave, then you got Guevara, Jericho, and Hager, which really doesn't amount to much of anything. But I personally think Ivelisse, Santana Ortiz, and Eddie Kingston together would be awesome. I don't think Eddie Kingston is needed for the Lucha Bros. Yes, for promos, obviously, but, I don't know. I just, Lucha Bros, basically, how the finish in a match happened is the Lucha Bros, Eddie Kingston had a plan, beating the Luchasaurus and Jungle Boy. And towards the end of the match, Eddie Kingston wants the Lucha Bros to do what he instructed them to do as a finisher. They didn't do it. Butcher and Blade are around ringside, by the way. Eddie Kingston's a little annoyed that the Lucha Bros didn't do what they were supposed to. And Jungle Boy sneaks a win on Pentagon Jr. and Ray Phoenix. They're livid. They're arguing with Butcher and Blade, and you got Eddie Kingston in the ring. By the way, did anybody notice there was virtually no cursing tonight? For those that don't know, before the show started, Tony Khan came out to the fans, thanked them all for coming, told them to please, keep your mask on, be respectful, and, please don't curse, and nobody go up to Moxley and give him a high five. That was more of a joke than anything else. But I don't know if people noticed tonight, virtually no cursing. Not saying zero, but virtually none. I know MJF did, but virtually none. A lot less than before. This is straight from TNT. TNT wants the vulgar language to a minimum. And like I said, nobody is paying attention that TNT has wanted some changes ever since that bigwig that gave the green light for AEW and TNT. They have made some changes. They have made some requests to AEW. For some reason, nobody wants to focus on that. Now, to me, cutting the cursing down, it's not a big deal. AEW has a good product, whether you curse or you don't. But you have to also, keep that on the back burner if they start cutting back on a little bit of the blood, start cutting back on some of the other things. So we have to pay attention to standards and practices in TNT. It's not anything to be concerned about right now, but the fact that there has been some requests since that executive was let go, that should tell you something. That should tell you something. But right now, it's not a big deal. So after the match is over, Lucha Bros, Butcher and Blade, annoyed at each other. At one point, Pentagon Jr. pushes aside Ray Phoenix, and Eddie Kingston's the glue. Stop, familia, stop, saying to the Blade, where's your wife? Where's this, where that? I'm not feeling it. Like, I love Eddie Kingston. I said this the other day. I am privileged to be spoiled of seeing tons of Eddie Kingston on the Northeast over here because he's from my neck of the woods. But, Eddie Kingston with the Lucha Bros, Butcher and the Blade feels very random. Very random. Unless Butcher and Blade are going to turn babyface soon. Not overnight, but soon. I think, yeah, I agree, VJ. They should be doing more with the Lucha Bros. I mean, Lucha Bros have not lost any credibility, but at the same time, though, I don't know. I think they should have had a run at some point up to now. Omega and Page having it a little bit under 300 days is an awfully long time, especially when a promotion is, as far as Dynamite. We're only about a year. A couple of weeks from now, it's going to be 1 year that Dynamite is on TV. Remember, I started Wednesday Night Dynamite a week, I believe, before AEW debuted. And I know I took 1 week off. I think I went on vacation. So, there's 50 episodes of Wednesday Night Dynamite, which means a couple of weeks from now, AEW is celebrating a year of Dynamite on television. So to start off on television and have a tag team eat up, 80% of your tag team title run, I ask you this. Earlier when I said Luchasaurus and Jungle Boy, their stock has gone up, especially Jungle Boy. His stock has gone up over the last 6 to 8 months, even though they haven't lost credibility. But doesn't it feel like the Lucha Bros stock has gone down? I mean, when they took on the Young Bucks last year for All In, I mean, even though it was so video game-ish as far as the moves and everything that went down, I mean, Lucha Bros, there was an aura about them, almost like, like a phenomenon. Like they were just incredible. For people that had never seen them before, they're like, oh my God, look at what these guys could do. A lot of that mystique and aura about the Lucha Bros, to me, has gone away over the last 8-9 months. Other teams have benefited, but at the same time, the Lucha Bros, you should not feel that the Lucha Bros are in the mix with all the other tag teams. There should be a couple of tag teams that when you look at them, they just look a hell of a lot higher than everyone else. Omega and Page is definitely a pair, but the Lucha Bros should be on that level too. Young Bucks is on that level, even though they have lost a decent number of matches over the last year. But you could tell that the Young Bucks, the way they're portrayed on TV, they have not lost any of their, credibility. So, Butcher and Blade are not on that level. And I don't think they should be on that level. But Butcher and Blade are solid enough that if they were to take on a tag team champion any given week, even though they would lose, I don't think anybody would be like, I ain't a Butcher and a Blade facing them. So Butcher and the Blade, I've actually warmed up to them. The names are still kind of goofy, and them dressing up as Good Humor Men was just ridiculous. Didn't make sense to me. I thought it was dumb. But, Eddie Kingston, ends up, making sure that everybody makes peace. I don't know, unless it's a setup. Maybe Eddie Kingston is setting them up. I don't know. But then we have Jake the Snake Roberts and Lance Archer with a message for Jon Moxley. And Jake Roberts, if you noticed, the sexual innuendos has dramatically gone down in a week. You could tell that, either TNT or AEW was not thrilled at where that was going. But tonight, it was more about, just being straight up with Moxley. A lot of people think that Lance Archer may be your next AEW heavyweight champion. I'm not sold on that yet. But if you think that there's a possibility, then that means something is being done right. Because when you're not sure if somebody's going to be a champion or not, that means somebody's doing their job. Not being able to predict, even though for All Out, I was 9-1 with my predictions, even got specifics. Colt Cabana with the miscue, Brodie Lee taking out a Cabana. I said that all last Wednesday's predictions. So, but the thing is, sometimes being able to predict everything is not a good thing. When things are unpredictable, that's when wrestling is usually at another level. Some matches, you could know the outcome or predict the winner, and the matches are just so good that it doesn't matter. But, you don't get too many matches like that all that often. So, but somebody's asking me, do I think AEW tops 1 million tonight? Yesterday I said that I thought NXT might get around 910 to 915,000. Now, in retrospect, even though the rating hasn't come out yet, I'm now having second thoughts. And I as much as I like Rhea Ripley, I know we're going back and forth a little bit, but that's what I do. As much as I like Rhea Ripley, I don't think Rhea Ripley versus Mercedes Martinez in a cage is the big ratings grab that a lot of people thought it would be. I don't want to get too much into NXT right now, but I'll tell you this. Nothing against the women, but I was very confused that WWE had Finn Balor and Adam Cole open up NXT. Sometimes I think we all agree. I think even females that watch my shows will agree too. Sometimes it feels like WWE puts women to close out a show because they're women. Not because it is the main event or it just organically belongs there. Sometimes match placement is done because people are women. And I honestly thought yesterday, and again, for people out there, well, they had to construct the ring. It wasn't live yesterday. I personally think they should, just as I said for All Out, that Britt Baker versus Big Swole had no business opening up that pay-per-view. That should have either been part of the pre-show or that should have been midway through the pay-per-view after a very big match, like the tag title match. You want to bring everybody back down a little bit. That was god-awful. Honestly, one of the worst matches I've seen in the last 10 years. So I don't even know why that made pay-per-view. Look, I don't hold it against Britt Baker or Big Swole. They're going to recover. They'll do just fine. But as much as I balked at that opening up, especially for the live fans there, the live fans, you're up, you're energetic, the pay-per-view is about to start. Oh my God, let's all make noise. And then it's a cinematic thing to start. But as much as I question that, I don't understand why they didn't have Rhea Ripley and Mercedes Martinez open up NXT yesterday. Then after it's over, you go to this Gargano household thing, the first skit, as a way to bring everybody back down a little bit. And then you bring them back up. That would have been a better way to do it. But it felt like they put Rhea Ripley and Mercedes Martinez as the main event to close out NXT because of their gender. I hate saying it like that, but in my opinion, Finn Balor versus Adam Cole yesterday, since the title was vacant, was one of the most important title matches in NXT's history. And they tore it up. They put on an unbelievable match yesterday. 5 stars, maybe just a drop under, but it was phenomenal. That was history making. And why that is the opening, I'm very confused at that. And in hindsight now, since the NXT ratings have not come out, I think you're going to see a substantial lower rating for Rhea Ripley and Mercedes Martinez compared to Adam Cole versus Finn Balor. I don't understand why they did that way. And they weren't even head-to-head with Dynamite, too, which is baffling. That's how it came across to me. And I'm sorry if that offends anybody out there, but I'm just telling you my opinion. It feels like WWE puts women to close out shows sometimes because they're women. It's not the women's fault. It's not me being a jerk. This is WWE's thinking. Just like what I was going to say earlier. WWE, even though Miro is not in WWE anymore, Lana is. And I ask everybody out there, do you think WWE will be petty to maybe bury Lana a little bit further as a little shot towards Miro? Because a lot of people felt that way about Nick Aldis. Remember Nick Aldis made a little shot at WWE? Nothing bad, But then Mickie James makes her return. She has a 2-minute match with Natty, and the next thing you know, Seth Rollins, this is a big return, Mickie James. And Seth Rollins interrupts it, and Mickie James, even on a podcast, said that return was bullshit. She actually said that. I'm sorry for cursing for the third time. So I wonder. I don't disagree with what Miro said tonight, but I wonder if WWE is going to be petty and take a little bit out on Lana. Basically, not humiliate her, but maybe, just do a segment or something where she gets a little bit, and, some people will interpret that as that's WWE's way of saying, here's the brass ring up your ass, So, anyway. So, Jake Roberts tonight, very, very watered down from past weeks. Past weeks, very sexual with his overtones. Tonight, nothing of the sort, which is fine. By the way, I thought Jake Roberts had a funky shirt on. I actually was wondering if I would look good. Oh, and by the way, I wanted to wear the Brodie Lee shirt again tonight, because, I support Brodie, really. They got to come out with Miro merch. As soon as Miro merch is available, yours truly will buy some Miro merchandise. I'm a fan of the guy. I like the guy. I thought he got really shortchanged with Rusev Day, and that when he said recently that Vince McMahon, seriously, we all love Vince McMahon. I will always be grateful for Vince McMahon being part or responsible for the most entertainment I've had in my entire life. Other than my father, there has been no male figure in my life for this long. I've been a wrestling fan since I was a child in 1979. So Vince, I owe a ton to. But everybody gets old, and everybody starts losing it a little bit. It's just Mother Nature. Anybody that's following the presidential, you see Biden and some of the things going on. I mean, it's age. I'm not going to make fun of the guy because, that can happen to my dad. It can happen to your dad. It could happen to people that you love too. It happens. But when Vince McMahon actually told Miro that the fans are chanting Rusev Day to mock him, I mean, and not any one thing is going to be grounds for Vince McMahon to be stepped down, forced into retirement. Hell, when they did that segment with Triple H, when CM Punk first walked out, how many years ago is that? When Triple H was crying in the ring, I love you, Dad. I honestly thought that was going to be, as far as the camera-wise, like the storyline to start setting up Vince McMahon in real life to take a step back and have, the Triple H, Stephanie, take the helms. Nothing of the sort. But if Vince really thought that, this guy is senile. I hate to say it like this guy's nuts. I didn't buy a Rusev hat, Rusev Day to mock the guy. I didn't buy the Rusev shirt to mock the guy. Wrestling Soup, Mission Joey Nubbers came out with a spoof satire shirt, Soup Day. And I think that might have been their biggest selling shirt of all time. You think people liked it because they liked the colors? Wasn't a mock. So, yeah, that was 9 years ago with CM Punk. 9 years ago. So, anyway, before I go any further, we'll get back to the recaps. The show tonight's going to go 2 hours. We're an hour and 18 minutes, so we still got 40 minutes left. Plenty of time to talk, because other than Dynamite and NXT, which I already covered a little bit, we don't have too much else to get into. I want to give you the brackets for the New Japan tournament that's coming up, and also there's a pay-per-view next week that you all might be interested in. It's on Fight TV. If Fight TV somehow gets this, it would be nice to get a couple of codes that I could give out to the Donzilla Army. Unbelievable. I see podcasters that get 50 people tuning into their shows, and they're getting 3-4 promo codes from Fight TV. We get tens of thousands of people who tune into these shows. I can't get a promo code. Am I that much of a dick? Curse number 4. I'm sorry. You know what? Let's 3 super chats. I want to do the winner of the Ivelisse hat, reveal it to everybody, and then we'll finish up the recaps, 1 or 2 other things. We get out of here. And if you're around Friday night, right after SmackDown, join me here. Gonna have some stuff to get into. So, by the way, I do have to share one thing before we go any further. Justin Roberts. Remember the accusations against Justin Roberts? AEW never took him off TV. AEW never told him, sensitivity training for 30 days. They just let him go. Ever wonder how AEW and Justin Roberts felt about the accusations online against Justin Roberts? I thought this was funny. What I don't understand is how come cancel culture is not angry at this? Did you see the video screen now when Justin Roberts comes out, when they do the introductions? You don't normally get to see that because that happens before Dynamite starts. But you ever wonder what type of, how do I say this? Well, he's a heterosexual, so what type of woman Justin Roberts likes? Well, this is what they have on the screen. Justin Roberts likes the golden type. I don't know, and some people didn't figure it out. Go on social media. About 80% of the people out there think that Justin Roberts just likes old ladies. That's a satire of the Golden Girls. People didn't even figure that out. They're like, oh, Justin Roberts likes them old. No, Materazzi, that's a spoof of the Golden Girls. I thought that was pretty funny. So, Richard Adams, he wasn't at the beginning of COVID because of COVID. Not because of accusations. So Justin likes them golden. Golden. Anyway, a couple of super chats I want to get into, if you don't mind. First, do I think AOP is a good fit for MLW? Mighty, I actually talked about AOP on Friday. I don't think AOP would be a great fit in AEW because you look at the size of a lot of the wrestlers in AEW, and again, I don't base everybody on size, but AEW would be so huge and monstrous to too many tag teams in AEW. It would be, put it this way, you start trying to give people a suspension of disbelief that Private Party, Jungle Boy, Marco Stunt, and others could beat AOP, you have to bring AOP down quite a bit. I think right now, AOP's best home, other than maybe Japan, is Impact Wrestling. When Gallows and Anderson debuted in Impact, and you know what's funny? A lot of the goofs were all like AOP because, like I said, I don't pay attention to people that I know because I don't want to, get in the middle of stuff like this. What I do is, since I have so many people blocked on muted on social media, when news breaks, I do an advanced Twitter search. I type in my subject, I click search, and then I click latest. And I see what everybody's opinions are. When AOP got released from the WWE last week, and I did a search on social media, 95% of everybody out there were surprised and also thought it was a big mistake by WWE letting them go. Nobody was ripping AOP. I will bet you anything you want to bet that wherever AOP lands, Impact, MLW, wherever, I guarantee you most of those goops that are making fun of and ripping Miro, if they were an AOP fan, they're going to turn around and give praise to AOP. But I think they're a perfect fit in Impact because when Gallows and Anderson signed with Impact Wrestling, that was a big deal. Their ratings shot up. To their levels, it shot up, Gallows and Anderson. But you see who Gallows and Anderson is feuding with in Impact Wrestling. I mean, it's nothing against their tag team division. When you're talking about Crazy Steve and this and this and this, it's like, So I think AOP, AOP and Gallows and Anderson could be, the cornerstone of Impact Wrestling's tag team division, and you can then help bring some people up. But Gallows and Anderson, it does not feel like they have found, you know what I mean? I just think AOP would be a perfect fit in Impact Wrestling. Sure, they could do stuff for MLW, absolutely. But even MLW, I look at the other wrestlers there, and I don't know how good they would fit in, to be honest with you. I personally think Impact Wrestling or Japan. Ring of Honor, maybe a year ago I would have thought that, but at the same time though, with COVID, it's really hard to see anybody really find a niche. That's why I'll be honest with you, as nuts as this sounds, you know which tag team I think has done the best in the last 3 months, despite COVID? FTR. I never in a million years ever thought that they would fit in this well in AEW, especially since their style is not flippy. That I honestly thought that it would not click. And I think FTR is probably, as far as where they were 3 or 4 months ago and now, I think FTR, of everybody out there, I think that they have benefited the most. I think they have done an absolutely fabulous job. So that's what I have to say. What school do you go to? He met Puff 2 years ago at an indie show in Brooklyn for Outlaw Wrestling. That's cool, man. I love it because, everybody out there thinks, oh, Puff was just some random overweight guy that they just threw on TV. So, no, I thought that was cool. And you know what? What I like about Puff, I'm not a fan of his. I never paid attention to him, but I know who you're talking about. But what I like is that he don't care. He doesn't care, and this is what I keep saying to everybody out there, especially when AEW heels did their first Zoom, and I put the screenshot here on the show. You had all different shapes and sizes, different races. Nobody cared how each other looked. Everybody just had smiles on their faces and just wanted to have a good time. And that goes to show you that anybody out there who really has to hide, their face or their body in 2020, that's sad. That's sad. There's an old saying that I learned, never followed until, health issues forced me to do it. But before you love someone else, you got to love yourself. And you got to accept yourself for what it is. And when people just absolutely hide in 2020, that's either poor self-esteem or there's something really shady going on. And, I like that Puff just goes out there, just has fun, puts a smile on his face, and, it is what it is. It's bad, Lightning, or Right Wing. It's bad. It's bad. There's no excuse for it. We're all different shapes, sizes, ages. Everybody out there, it's just, I don't get it. Especially in an age where you could buy a camera phone for $5. I mean, you could buy a used camera phone on eBay for $5. You can get a cheap 5-megapixel phone or a 5-megapixel camera on Amazon right now for $9.99. There's no excuse for it. There's no excuse. We got to all just stop with this over self-conscious stuff and just enjoy ourselves. So, we're talking. You don't know what I'm talking about? Puff? Ken? Puff made an appearance tonight. Puff thought he was the best man for Kip Sabian. School also says, is it just him or does Eddie Kingston sound like Bully Ray a bit? Sure, yeah, I could hear that a little bit. Yeah, I could hear that a little bit. You know what it is? It's the Northeast. It's the Northeast. You know how many people, sometimes when I go on my rants, they're like, oh my God, he sounds exactly like Paul Heyman. It's not intentional. I've never mimicked Paul Heyman. I mean, yeah, I've mimicked some of his Lesnar promos because he's been doing the same promo for 7 years, 8 years. But, it's just the style and the way some people talk. So, one more. Anthony Diaz says that I want Jake Roberts to talk dirty to me. No, that's all right, man. That's all right. Jake Roberts, it's interesting because Jake Roberts, believe it or not, I have an interview that myself and the Masked Maniac had with Jake Roberts about maybe 8 years ago. It might be on Patreon now. I'm not sure. But the one thing that I'll always remember Jake Roberts in an interview is that, he likes to make love in his promos, but he likes to also, there's like a sexuality about it. Like you can really, put someone down, it's just the whole psychological, and he interjects sex sometimes, in a lot of his stuff. And, this is the thing too. I've talked about this in the past. Not everybody who would poke fun at a gay person was doing it when I was growing up because they hated gays. Not the case at all. What a lot of people would do is, when you had like Jersey Shore guys that would go to clubs, especially when I used to go to clubs in the late 80s, early 90s, there were Jersey Shore guys. Hell, you saw that picture of me from 1991, next to my Buick. I look like a Jersey Shore reject. But when you went to a club and you had a Jersey Shore wannabe that was trying to be a ladies' man, you called them something derogatory. I'm not justifying it, but I'm just trying to explain it. You would question their manhood because that would be the ultimate embarrassment in their eyes in front of the opposite sex. That's why people did it, not because they hated gays, but because they know that that would be the maximum insult you could give to that person. So sexuality in insulting someone, whether it's straight or gay, male or female, that happens in all walks of life. All walks of life. Yeah, right wing, I see what you're saying. That's another example. People would say that too. I mean, didn't the Jerky Boys used to say that all the time? I don't think they hated gays. I think they just, there's a difference between hating someone who's gay and putting someone down, because I don't justify it, but, you got to break it down a little bit further. So, and look, didn't John Cena question some people's manlyhood? CM Punk questioned some people's manlyhood. You question someone's manlyhood, there's nothing wrong with a man being feminine, but when someone is a heterosexual male and you question their manlyhood, that strikes chords. Unfortunately, people have to understand, and I have tried to learn this myself. I try every day to preach what I say, that you can insult people without hurting other groups. I use matarats more than you know. I've had a few people off and on saying, what did you just call me? I called you a matarats. What are you going to do about it? What did you just call me? And some of you out there have said that too. Got into a vehicular road rage incident with someone and you cursed them out and called them a matarats, and the person wanted to put a bullet through your head. You called me a matarats. They don't even know what it is. Then the best is they go on Google and they still don't know what it is. You don't even know how to spell it. Do I think Jason would be involved in an Orange Cassidy entrance? I wanted AEW to use Jason Solomonster on the Jericho Cruise. When Jason went on the Jericho Cruise, I thought they should do a segment where Jericho or someone else thinks that it's Orange Cassidy, but it's Jason instead. I don't know why AEW never wanted to do. Even remember when they opened the door? I thought they could even do something funny where Orange Cassidy opens up a door and he sees Jason. And they do maybe like the mind thing, but never got to that point. Maybe down the line it does, but I'm a little surprised that they never did that. It's funny, they'll show little children with shades on, dressed like Orange Cassidy, but Jason, they won't show. I don't understand that. I don't know what it is, but it is what it is. Matt Hardy comes out addressing what happened at All Out. And here's what I meant when I said earlier. By the way, much love to everybody who is live right now. Not trying to say that our live family is more important than archive, but the fact that you're taking your time out on a Wednesday night to spend some time with yours truly, I really do appreciate that. So thank you. Matt Hardy, when I said earlier in the show, I gave AEW and Matt Hardy a hell of a lot of credit tonight. As much as I ripped their decision for restarting that match Saturday, I give Matt Hardy and AEW both a ton of credit tonight. Now, you might be saying right now, why AEW? I'll tell you why in a minute. Matt Hardy came out, was blown away by the outpouring love and support from all the fans the last couple of days. I think he knew that was going to happen, but people ripping on Tony Khan and ripping on the doctor, ripping on this. Look, like I said, if they would just admitted to a mistake, people would have forget. I would have forget. Everybody would have forgiven. But honestly, none of us. We're not owed Khan's apology. Khan's apology should go to the Hardy family. And you know what? Wouldn't be surprised if that did happen today. But Matt Hardy taking the high road and not putting the fault on anybody, just that he got injured and now he needs to, recover. And he even hinted that when he gets back that it's time for Matt Hardy to have some AEW gold. Fans were chanting Matt Hardy. Matt Hardy, class. Talking about his kids, showed his wife who was in attendance also. And it was an excellent promo. Now, why do I give AEW credit for tonight as well? How many of you out there, and obviously I have to ask this for the live friends, you can write on the archive. Remember, hashtag WND, in case you want to take part in the contest for the figures 2 weeks from now. How many of you out there were waiting for someone to either confront Matt Hardy or attack Matt Hardy? As he was cutting this promo, and remember, Tony Khan told the world he's fine. He didn't have a concussion. There's nothing wrong. Oh, it's not true. It's exaggerated would probably be the better way to put it. But I think a lot of people out there, because we were told the last couple of days that Matt Hardy's fine, that somebody, Guevara or someone else, may come out there and attack Matt Hardy. As he was cutting this promo, I honestly said, AEW, please, do not turn this into a storyline. Do not turn this into somebody attacking him. Just let him cut the promo. There's nothing wrong with just being straight up and just showing appreciation. And now you let him take some time off to heal his wounds. And that's exactly what AEW did tonight, and I got to give them props for it, because it was very tempting to have this turn into somebody coming out and attacking him. They could have attacked him, and that could have been the reason to give him time off. Just like they did Cody with the stretcher job and this and that. So the fact that they let him just thank everybody for the well wishes, and that, he's going to get back fully recovered 100%. And when he comes back, he wants to go for a title. That's an easy way to bring Matt Hardy back into the fold. He doesn't have to come back in and immediately go with Guevara again. I like that they pretty much finished, he came to a period. He left it as a sentence that the stuff with him and Guevara is over. It's done. Guevara and him had a pretty strange feud, if you really dissect it, because it seems like almost every time they went at it, somebody legitimately got hurt. Matt Hardy with the chair to the face. Guevara with the table to the head. Matt Hardy, overshooting the table. It just felt like, on paper, it looked like a great feud, and I was looking forward to the feud. But execution, Matt Hardy and Guevara might be oil and water. They don't mix. So the fact that this is over, when Matt Hardy comes back by planting the seed about going for a title, Matt Hardy could come back and challenge whoever is a champion, whichever title he wants to go for. The only title I don't see him going for right now is tag title. Not because Jeff is not there, but because they are going to keep focusing Matt Hardy as singles guy. So, and that's that. So, Orange Cassidy versus Angelico. It was a brief match. Jack Evans and Angelico's. Some people say Angelico's. I'm used to saying Angelico. Sorry. But, got a little bit of offense in, but Orange Cassidy pretty much dominated. Quick match. Then we get, once again, like I said, this is one of the things that I have not liked with AEW, and I've brought this up many times before. And Best Friends versus Santana Ortiz is the quintessential example. And you know what I'm about to say because I brought this up twice in the last 4 or 5 weeks. Seems like best friends are only pissed off with Santana and Ortiz every other week. You know, Santana and Ortiz does something in the caravan, it's the following week that they're angry. Santana and Ortiz does something to their gear in the shower, it's the following week. Last week, you know, now it's the following week. You know, some feuds, you can't keep taking every other week off because you want to feature other people on TV. You go through the storyline, and then you move on to something else. So next week, we're going to get Best Friends versus Santana Ortiz in a parking lot brawl. Hopefully this is the end of it. I'm sorry, man. I'm just not into the team Best Friends all that much. They're not bad. They're very talented. They work great with Santana Ortiz. But this is a feud that I think it's time, you know, especially, you know, you do something to my mom's van, you know, blow that son of a bitch up. So now Miro, basically Kip Sabian, he's going to reveal who his best man is. First, we get Puff that came out who looked like, you know, some podcasters out there. I hate to say it, you know, but, you know, he comes out, he thinks he's the best man. He's not. I didn't like the thing with Brian Pillman Jr. You know, Brian Pillman Jr. thought he was the best man, and Kip Sabian basically, you know, tells him we were never friends. If I was Brian Pillman Jr., I would have kicked him upside the head. But he's like, "Get out of here, Junior!" And Brian Pillman, like he yelled at a dog. He just like walks away anyway. I don't know. I didn't like that at all. But then he brings out Miro, and it was interesting because when they started the music, they put the camera behind him, and I'm looking at the body, and I see the light hair, and I'm like, "Who is that?" And you know, for a split second, I didn't think it was anybody new. And I was like, I hope that's not Luther, because, you know, a lot of people, you know, just don't care about him on the main roster. And that's a shame, because Dr. Luther actually has a pretty storied career. But I don't think anybody would have cared either. But then it's Miro. And it's an odd pairing, very odd pairing. I think Miro is going to be like a bodyguard for Kip Sabian. I think Kip Sabian is going to hide behind Miro a little bit. Hopefully they just have a falling out sooner than later. I really don't want to see another wedding angle on TV. But, you know, Miro is now in AEW. And again, if anybody out there didn't see earlier what he looked like, you know, when I think people started thinking Miro was going to be in AEW? Last week, when he said no Twitch today. No Twitch. Remember, anybody out there remember that? A lot of people immediately said he's signing with AEW, but a lot of people thought he was going to be in the Casino Battle Royale. So, you know, I think some people started to have some rumblings, but, you know, like I said, opening with this show, I'm happy that he got work. Just because you work for WWE, I don't care if it's for 1 year or for 10 years, you should be able to go find employment somewhere else. And again, it's amazing that so many people out there who are ragging on Miro finding a job with another wrestling company, that those people themselves don't have a job. Worry about yourself. Go out and get yourself a job. Go out and get yourself a partner. Go out and get yourself a life. You know, I keep using the phrase, do I want to tweet or do I want to eat? So many people out there complaining about Miro's employment or Miro's employer. Those people need to worry about their own freaking jobs. So I think that's the best response. And I tell you, it was interesting tonight because I saw a lot of you out there saying to me tonight that you're sick of these people just ragging on a product and a company that they don't like. And I think you all figured out now why people do it. But if you want to give people the ultimate comeback when AEW signs a former WWE person or Impact or anyone else, you know, go look at their profile. And if they're not working, just respond back and say, well, he's got something you don't have right now, and that's called the job. And you see how quickly he shut the fuck up. Curse number 4. Sorry. Tony Schiavone interviews Hangman Page. Tony Schiavone interviews Kenny Omega. Very, very odd, because people thought all along Hangman Page was turning heel. Then we started thinking the last couple of weeks Kenny Omega may be turning heel. Young Bucks seem to have their period for some reason. They just want to kick everybody. They kicked Alex Marvez, and instead of being suspended, they're just fined so AEW could have them on TV next week. The Young Bucks, like I said, even though they're not winning matches all the time and they're not in the tag title picture, they are the focal point more than you can realize. They got their balls in a bunch. Alex Marvez wants it. They super kick him. Focus is on them. Remember I was saying Super Bucks? Every time somebody would get attacked around ringside, there was a baby face. Here's the Young Bucks in their, casual gear. Always concerned. Look at, they were the focal point of everything. And I'm not complaining, but just making aware. But tonight was just strange. Because Hangman Page, when he first was talking about how he didn't hear the fans, and he was kind of like knocking how few fans were there, it felt like, Hangman Page being, being a little heelish. Then by the end of the interview, it was just, I don't know where this goes from here. Then, Hangman Page kind of, hinting that, maybe they can figure out their issues, or that's the impression that I felt after that. And then Kenny Omega, he's basically like, how am I supposed to feel after I just lost tag titles, this and that? And they left me confused. And this is not a good confused. It just felt like it was all over the place. And the Young Bucks, it's funny, the Young Bucks seem to be the angriest out of the four. And they didn't lose the tag titles, so I don't know. This feels like something that is going to be milked. I mean, it feels like something that should have been answered in 2 weeks that may be answered in 4. So I don't know. Maybe we'll come to a conclusion in next week, but I seriously doubt it. Tyree and some others are saying too, they were left confused tonight, and it didn't feel like, it felt like sloppy. I mean, you know what it felt like? It felt like they did promos tonight trying to force a couple of extra weeks of this storyline that is not necessary. But, I don't know. I didn't like either interview tonight. It was a little of a mess. Jericho and Hager beating Joey Janela and Sonny Kiss. This was a no DQ match, and Chris Jericho had sprayed Sonny Kiss with a fire extinguisher. Jake Hager hit Sonny Kiss with the urinage and pinned him with a head and arm choke. Basically defeat him with a head and arm choke, I should say. After the match, Jericho and Hager, they're basically hinting that they want the tag titles. I don't know if I see FTR taking on Jericho and Hager for the tag titles. That just seems a little confusing as well. I don't know. That left me confused too. I don't, unless maybe they just feel like nobody right now, they don't want the Young Bucks with FTR right now. So it's like, who do we have them feud with? I don't think, if Luchasaurus and Jungle Boy was meant to be a bigger feud, I think they would have teased this maybe more towards October. So I don't know. It just doesn't feel like Lucha Bros are in the mix. It's an interesting, when you think about it, it's very interesting that they put the titles on FTR when you realize the babyface tag teams that could give them a run for their money. You actually make a list of the babyface tag teams. You got Private Party, you got, Jurassic Express. You have a few others, Best Friends and some others, but nobody that really like sticks out. You're like, yeah. It's a little odd. Even though I said for 3 weeks straight FTR was winning them at the pay-per-view. SCU, I don't know. I don't feel SCU, FTR, too many. What did it battle over the 3 letters? SCU versus FTR for the AEW. I don't know. I think that's just throwing in a team because they're babyface. Doesn't feel it. So, so FTR has their tag team title celebration. They're interrupted by Jurassic Express. The whole segment to me felt flat. Felt very flat. Tay Conti losing to Nyla Rose. Vicky getting a little bit physical. They were trying to get Vicky a little bit more physical. It should be a little bit different than what she was in WWE. Even though Nyla Rose beat her, I don't think it was that big of a deal. Hikaru Shida having a little bit of a confrontation with Nyla Rose. Nyla Rose wants her rematch, so it looks like we may get Hikaru Shida versus Nyla Rose sooner than later. Oh, I agree. SCU is definitely a great tag team, but there's no momentum right now. So it would just feel awfully random to just suddenly put them against FTR, in my opinion. You want to know something? They've been teasing the last couple of weeks if Tay Conti joins the Dark Order to be with Anna Jay. Because we don't have women's tag titles right now, I don't know. I don't really see Anna Jay and Tay Conti really teaming up all that much. She could join the Dark Order, but my gut feeling tells me that she ultimately turns it down, and maybe that leads to a little feud of Anna Jay versus... First of all, they have to tweak Anna Jay's name a little bit because it just sounds like nice country girl, like Anna Jay. Oh, that's Anna Jay. It feels like they got to tweak her name. And don't give her a number. We got 5, we got 10. Are we gonna give it 30? Stop naming people numbers. Come up with some really odd names. I don't know. 99. Call her 99. So next week, we get Jurassic Express versus FTR. We have Thunder Rosa versus Ivelisse next week for the NWA Women's Championship, which is going to be great. And you know what? By the way, let's give it out. Let's do the prize because it's getting a little bit late. As we did 2 weeks ago, all you had to do was comment in the comment section and also include hashtag WND. And I would pick somebody at random. That is the worn, a lot of people forget, it's not just autographed, but it was personally worn by Ivelisse. And this is a picture of her actually signing it. And earlier today, I went into my program, my recording program. When I play the footage, I know it's raw. It's not professionally edited. I put it in its raw form. I add corny music to it, but I put it in its raw form so you could see that it's 100% authentic. So earlier today, I ran the program, and it randomly selected someone who chose, commented and also put hashtag WND. And I am proud to announce the winner of the personally worn and autographed Ivelisse hat. So congratulations, Neil Ray. You are the winner of the Ivelisse personally worn and signed hat. I get your address. DM me on Twitter or email me and give me your shipping address. I will get it out to you right away. You have 1 week to claim it. And I know a lot of you out there are like, why do you do that? Well, very simple. I don't want someone that just hears from someone else. Oh, just go on this clip, type in WND, and you could win something. They're not even if you tune into the shows regularly, I announce the winner, and you got a week to claim it. And if somebody doesn't claim ever a prize, I want to give it to someone else. So Neil Ray, and Neil is one of the more outspoken people here, so I'm glad he got it. So there you go. So that is the winner of the signed hat. So don't forget, in 2 weeks I will pick 2 winners, and each person will choose any AEW figure. Now I know some of you out there might be like, "Oh, that's kind of a cheap prize." So you can go on eBay right now. Those figures go for about $40 plus. We do a contest every other week. We're going to drop $1,000 a month in prizes and this and that. So, every other week we do a prize. Some are worth more than others. Look, honestly, you could probably put this on eBay and get $1.50. I don't, look, you enjoy the prize, you sell the prize, you give it to someone else, do whatever you want with it. But if you don't claim it by next week, oh yeah, and they're sold out on Walmart, so they're probably worth even more. So I will say this, when the prices go down, then I'll probably give away a set of 5. All at once to somebody. Maybe we'll do that on a pay-per-view. I've been wanting to do a predictions contest on YouTube with all of you. I do it on Patreon. It's a lot easier because there's only a small number of people who take part. But YouTube, it's going to be hard to do thousands of entries because trust me, you start giving away stuff online and it's big prizes, you'll have people posting it like on their page, "Hey, everybody go here, you could win this," and you'll have people that hate me trying to win prizes. So, but hey, you win, good for you. So, we're at an hour 55. Gonna go 15 minutes over. So right now it's midnight here in New York. We'll go till 12:15, maybe. Well, before 12:30. We'll definitely be done by 12:30. So, I don't think Moxley's out yet. I don't think he's part of Series 1. I think those 5 were Series 1. Those are the 5 that I have on the way. So you choose from there. So hopefully the 2 winners don't choose the same figure. Then I might have to go make a deal with somebody. So anyway, next week we got Jurassic Express versus FTR. We got Thunder Rosa defending the NWA Women's Championship against Ivelisse. And we got Best Friends challenging Santana Ortiz in a parking lot brawl. If there's any match that I might have forgotten for next week, let me know, and I will definitely relay it to everyone. Wow, Lifty, you go that far back? He won when the Rise and Fall of ECW came out. I gave away a couple of DVDs for free on my hotline. So that's awesome, man. Seriously. No prize now, obviously, but I'm just kidding. I am not kidding, but he knows my style of joking. I could be a prick, but thank you, man. I always straight up in my prizes. Seriously, you'd be surprised, everybody, when people give out prizes sometimes and they come up with names that you've never heard of before or you don't ever see, like, you realize they just come up with fictitious names because it was never a prize. I'd say probably 3/4 of the wrestling sites out there that claim they're giving stuff away, and then they say, we'll pull somebody at random, and you don't see the random pull. Usually they're giving it to someone who doesn't exist, and they never had the prize. Or the ones who are the biggest guilty parties of it, when they do it through Twitter, and they say, you have to follow me and also retweet, and that's how they boost their numbers up. And then somebody that doesn't exist wins the prize, and then they have all these crazy followers and all the crazy retweets. That's how people do it. You got to follow me and retweet me in order to be eligible for the prize. Brodie Lee retains the TNT Championship over Dustin Rhodes. It was a fun match, but, once again, you remember when Dustin Rhodes, who did he fight? Was it Kip Sabian? Chat, bail me out on this one. Dustin Rhodes had a match earlier this year against someone, and I think it might have been part of the TNT tournament. And I remember Dustin was going to retire if he lost that match. Was it Kip Sabian? It was Kip Sabian. I tell you, man, it's weird, but it seems like as I get older, my memory's getting better. I do take Prevagen, I will admit that. But, I remember when Dustin had the match with Kip, and then they did this whole emotional thing for a week that if he loses, he's going to retire. And honestly, I put that just a tiny step below. If Matt loses against Sammy, he has to leave AEW. Stop with these goddamn retirement leaves, this and that, because they're not believable, AEW. Nobody believed that Dustin Rhodes was going to retire if he lost to Kip Sabian. Nobody believed that. You ruined the finish that way. Nobody thought that Matt Hardy was leaving AEW this soon. So those two stipulations, they sucked. Stop with these over-the-top stipulations that nobody believes. Because for the last 7 days, when Dustin is talking about how emotional this is and this and that, it was, fam. It's been 16 years since he got a title match on regular TV. A lot of people don't know that. But the amount of emotion that he expressed and all this stuff, I had the same feeling when he did all that with Kip Sabian. It took away the suspension. I didn't think there was any chance whatsoever Dustin was winning today. Brodie Lee beat him, and it was a fun match. It was a great match. But, as I said earlier, it got overshadowed because instead of going off the air with Dustin putting on a great performance and falling a little bit short, but, had a great match against Brodie Lee, no, we got to cut to Cody Rhodes' tremendous announcement about a goddamn game show. The Big Show, or the Go Big Show, or Big Blow, Joe Blow. I thought that was so horrible. The game show might be good, but I'm like, you just boosted this guy up all week, and people were like, that's cool. Even Dustin's not going to win. That's cool. You put him as the main event. Go off the fucking air with Brodie Lee and Dustin. Dustin, he might be laid out or whatever, but he came this close. Go off the air with the emotion of Dustin just taking on Brodie. No, we got to rush so Cody could give us an announcement about a game show. And you know what? That was TNT's decision. That was not AEW's decision. And I think we all agree on that. That was TNT's decision. We want you to close out your show with your biggest guy, Cody, putting over an upcoming game show. And basically, in the process, they didn't give two flying you-know-whats with Dustin Rhodes. That was a TNT decision, in my opinion. But, as we all know, our opinions, the Donzilla's Army's opinions are usually right. But a decent episode of Dynamite. I thought it was flowing very, very well tonight. There wasn't a lot that I disliked. But I do feel that the ratings are not going to break the million. I think there might be some quarter hours that might get close to 1 million. I'll do the quarter hours on Friday. I should have them by then. But my original prediction for NXT yesterday, I said 910 to 915. It hasn't come out yet. I'm going to change that. I'm going to say NXT did maybe like 880. And I think hour two, the rating is going to be lower for Rhea Ripley and Mercedes Martinez. AEW tonight, I think there's going to be some quarter hours that are going to tease close to 1 million, but nothing tonight really blew me away. Luchasaurus and Jungle Boy versus Lucha Bros was fun, but I don't know if it's the million ratings grab. You know what I mean? Like, if you look at all the matches, Joey Janela and Sonny Kiss versus Jericho and Hager was fun, but I don't know if it was the ratings grab. So I think AEW tonight does, I'll say 9.25. Say 9.25. Nothing was too amazing, but nothing was too shoddy either. So I'm going to say 9.25. So 9.25 for AEW. And what did I say for NXT? I said 880. Yeah, I'm going to go a little lower. I'm going to say 870. 872. 872 for NXT and 9.25 for AEW. We'll see what happens. But let's talk briefly about NXT. The reason why I'm not doing a full-blown recap is because yesterday every podcaster and their mother did a recap, so I know you all have seen it already. So there's definitely no reason for me to do a full-blown recap. All I will tell you from the night, and I already talked about Adam Cole and Finn Balor, they tore the house down. Not as many commercial breaks, but then again, it wasn't a 1 hour long match. It was a little over 20 minutes, I believe. I feel, in my opinion, when you have extremely important matches like this, they should work something out where there's no commercial breaks. I know commercials pay the bills, absolutely. But I think something as important as a match like that, which does not come around all that often, they should have limited commercials. You know, there was no reason why they couldn't have done that match with no commercials or one at the most. But, you know, the match, they tore the house down. You know, when they went to commercial break twice, Adam Cole was on top as far as Balor goes. Like, Adam Cole had just hit some big offensive moves on Finn Balor, then they went to a commercial break. Adam Cole, the first time he hit the Ushigoroshi. I got to say it slowly. Ushigoroshi. Then they went to commercial break. Then the next time around, Finn Balor was getting the upper hand on Adam Cole. Adam Cole then hit him with that awesome-looking super kick. And then they went to commercial break again. So the first two times at the commercial break, Adam Cole has got the upper hand. And if you know anything about WWE with these multiple commercial breaks and matches like that, the person who usually has the upper hand when they go to commercial repeatedly is usually the person that loses. They did split screen, but it's not the same, man. It's not. And, you know, I brought this up yesterday. I got to say it again now. The newness of Thunderdome has worn off. Monday's Raw rating was the lowest rating since Thunderdome started. I've been a part of Thunderdome. I had fun. I've been invited to two other ones. I couldn't do it because too much work over here. It's weird getting two invitations when you didn't register in the first place, but that's cool. That's cool. But Thunderdome is worn off. Last night, when we did the DTKC show on Patreon, we did a little watch along, not too much, we did a little bit. We were hoping to do Cole versus Balor, but that was hour one, so we didn't get a chance to do that. But when we were doing some of the other matches, I purposely told everybody just be quiet for a minute and just listen to this. If you didn't see NXT from yesterday yet, and you're planning on seeing it, I guarantee you will agree with me 1,000% on this. The NXT wrestlers around ringside last night, with the plexiglass and everything else, they were the loudest, the most energetic to date. Yesterday, I have been to indie shows that have had under 100 people. And when you have 100 people yelling and screaming and banging on the walls, banging on the chairs, chanting and this and that, 100 people could sound like 1,000. And that atmosphere yesterday for NXT blew me away. I had so much fun enjoying NXT yesterday because of the NXT wrestlers around ringside. And I'm going to say this now, and I'm going to use this comparison because nobody really brings this up. How many times over the years have you watched a wrestling event on TV or a pay-per-view and you basically say the crowd sucked? The crowd was dead. I couldn't get into the match because the crowd was so dead. How many times have you said that, whether it's to your friends, to yourself, podcasting, not podcasting? How many times have you seen an event and it brings it down because the crowd is dead? You just, how many times, and I brought this up yesterday, here in New York, Long Island is notorious of having dead crowds. You're watching a match, but the crowd is just dead, and it takes you out of it. That is what Thunderdome is doing. It's nice to see all the heads like wallpaper, but when you have that steady soccer noise and you pipe in just a little bit and there's no loud banging. Yesterday, there was so much banging with the plexiglass and yelling and screaming and chanting, Mercedes, get up, get up. And that is absent with Thunderdome. WWE, because they sacrificed, because some people said, oh, it looks like they're in a warehouse. It looked dead. All right, so now it's Brighton, and it's all colorful, and you have all these heads, and the fucking rating was lower than you started Thunderdome. The newness is worn off. The energy is not there. You see yesterday or Monday, Orton cutting his promo in the ambulances, and when Drew McIntyre, that pop is gone. Bayley turns on Sasha, the crowd reaction, the boos, gone. This is awesome chance, non-existent. Adam Cole and Finn Balor last night was 10 times more fun because of the energy of the NXT wrestlers around ringside. They were the MVP last night. And last night showed me that give me that atmosphere over Thunderdome any day of the week. Last night's NXT was so much more fun because of that energy. And that energy is absent. And in a lot of ways, it's also absent in AEW because people are so far away. And I don't know if people have noticed this. I'm not trying to brag about this, but I think I'm the only podcaster since the executive left that I have brought to the surface about TNT insisting on changes in AEW. No cursing, cut this down, cut this down. You know what else I think TNT has done? They have taken away some of the microphones around the fans. And the reason why I say that is, look at tonight with AEW with Judas. When the music went off and you heard the fans singing along Judas, it sounded like they were singing 2 blocks away. I think TNT has removed some of the microphones because they don't want the fans to curse. Tony Khan came out and said, everybody, please don't curse. So I think TNT has removed some of those mics so the curses don't come off on TV. But at the same time, you also removed a lot of that energy. The fans sound like they're 2 blocks away now. So I don't care about the crowd cuts, good fella, but I seriously think NXT yesterday, put it this way, you take that live atmosphere around ringside, you put that in AEW, I mean, I'm telling you, you have that energy come off on TV, it makes the night more fun. You get energized as well. And I think that affects the ratings too. So last night, Balor and Adam Cole, go watch it. Go watch it. As close to a 5-star match that's not a 5-star match as it can get. And they tore it up. And that crowd around ringside made it so much fun. So much fun. Finn Balor wins, hit the 1916 off the top rope to win the NXT Championship for the second time. I think he joins only Samoa Joe and Shinsuke as 2-time champions. But, yeah, C-Med, some people have fallen asleep in Thunderdome. It's colorful and it's bright. But unfortunately, it's not, WWE sacrificed the live energy for interaction with a couple hundred fans and colorful, LEDs, looks bright. It gives the impression. I honestly think WWE did that more for archive footage. So when they go back and they look at it, it almost looks like there were tons of live fans there. There was one shot of Bayley looking down at Sasha Banks, and they did this far distance camera shot. And if you looked like almost with squinting your eyes, you would think that it was Full House. The visual looks better, but you sacrifice the energy. And when you don't have that loud, energetic crowd, like I said, it's just like watching any wrestling event over the years. And when you say, "Oh man, the crowd killed it tonight," they were dead. I couldn't get into the match because the crowd sucked. That's basically what we have every week now for Raw and SmackDown. So, yeah, I think we will see Tony Storm in NXT UK. I think we will, Willie. You know, things are going to start getting back. I'm telling you. Things are going to start getting back. You know, just when the vaccine comes out for COVID, it's not going to be the be-all, end-all. Because I've said this since April. I predicted since April that the vaccine will be out before the election for various reasons. I'm not going to get into it now. But you got to remember something. And I compared it to flu shot. A lot of you will remember it. That in the United States, I think half of the country will not get the shot. Not because they don't trust Trump. And some people will do it for that reason. But a lot of people don't believe in flu shots. There are a lot of people out there that won't let their kids get a flu shot. They're afraid of autism. There are people out there that are afraid of flu shots for allergic reactions. So just because a vaccine comes out, there's still going to be the risk of COVID for a couple of years. So when people think, oh, next year it's going to be almost back to normal, no. You're going to see some feds that are not going to hire people. Indie shows, they're not going to hire people unless they got vaccinated. I know what some of you are going to say. Can you do that? Yeah, you can. If you're a private company, sure. You could. It sounds like discrimination, but you could do that. You could require everybody to show up with a test result before they do a show. But that's even scary because you could manipulate a test result. You get an Adobe PDF version of your test result. You run it through an Adobe program subscription. You could change the dates. Sure you can. That's fraud 101. So vaccines is not the be-all, end-all. So Finn Balor celebrating with the title. William Regal around ringside. Again, I wish William Regal would have been around ringside when Karrion Kross had to relinquish the title. But they didn't do that, which is, you know, whatever. They do show Finn Balor in the back, gets the handshake from Triple H, gets a sign of respect from Adam Cole. I think the Undisputed Era will break away from Adam Cole sooner than later. You know, it was an awesome match. And, you know, it's funny. It was weird today seeing people criticizing Finn Balor winning because he's 40. And you think I'm exaggerating, go search social media because that caught my eye. And I was just having a conversation yesterday about some of the women in WWE who are 40. Mercedes Martinez is right around 40. Shayna Baszler is right around 40. Mickie James is right around 40. Asuka is right around 40. They have numerous women now in their company that are right around 40. They have a decent number of wrestlers right around 40. You know, 40 is the new 30. But it's weird that WWE gives us this impression that Mickie James doesn't get pushed because she's older now. But yet, when you compare her age to some of the other women in the company, you're like, wait a minute. Mickie James is only 2 months older than this person. Or, I'm telling you. And it's interesting that people are suddenly bringing up age. If the person could go, that's all that matters, in my opinion. We had a funny backstage segment that led to a confrontation, which seems like this may be the next match for Io Shirai. Robert Stone finds Shotzi Blackheart's tank. He's about to bash it with a baseball bat. Shotzi catches him. Then Aaliyah tries to get involved, maybe go at it with Shotzi Blackheart. To me, that segment fell flat. I don't know what happened with her. I think she fell, or it almost looked as bad in the beginning as some of the spots with Britt Baker and Big Swole. But basically, Shotzi Blackheart chases her to the ring. Io Shirai gets involved, and they get chased off. But then Shotzi Blackheart picks up Io Shirai's title. And Io Shirai grabs it back, and Shotzi Blackheart's got a smile on her face, and Io Shirai is pissed. Don't make me hurt you. So makes you wonder, are they going to go with Io Shirai and Shotzi Blackheart as the next feud? Shotzi Blackheart is good. I like her. She's talented, but I think she still has a long way to go. I don't know, I don't know how that match would come off, but it definitely feels like they may be going Shotzi Shirai as the next thing. But Robert Stone, towards the end of the night, we'll get to that in a moment because there's not too many matches left. Velveteen Dream beats Ashante Adonis. Did anybody notice very quickly Velveteen Dream touching Adonis's pants? Anybody see that? When I saw that, that's when I flocked to social media. And I was like, oh, I got to see this reaction. And it's amazing, the anger. People want this to be true. I live in a country innocent until proven guilty. It's not that way anymore. Not just wrestling. Across the board. It's no longer innocent until proven guilty. But when I saw that, I'm like, interesting. If you didn't see what I was talking about, just go watch the beginning of Velveteen Dream and Ashante Adonis' match yesterday. Velveteen Dream beats him handedly. Right before Velveteen Dream gets on the mic, Kushida attacks him from nowhere, setting up an interesting feud between the two. My co-host last night said that Kushida turned heel last night. I thought it was the opposite. Dream is the heel. There's no way to having Dream as a babyface right now with everything still toxic on social media. Kushida is the babyface. It's not heel versus heel. But I find that interesting. And you know what? Again, I'm not rubbing it in people who believe that Velveteen Dream did something. But I will keep throwing back at you that question. Why don't these people contact the authorities? Why don't these people contact an investigator? Why don't these people file a cyber complaint? Yup. Why do people lie originally? Yup. That doesn't make sense. And again, it does make sense because they don't want the truth to be proven. Because if the truth is proven that he didn't do anything and there is nothing there and a phone could be scrubbed. This isn't 1981 where you can't, they can track everything back. They could get the alleged victim's phone and get all the transmissions that went. When someone gets a death threat through their telephone and then the person hangs up, you may not know that person's number. You don't think that forensics and law enforcement can't take your phone and trace the other side of it? Sending things, having so-called relationships and everything else, wanting to send nudes and this and that. Why would you keep every conversation about school and gym and movies, but you delete the jackpot? I'm telling you, everybody, I'm not a friend of his, but you got to use common sense sometimes. Not because it's, the popular or unpopular thing to do. You got to just use a little common sense sometimes. And WWE is going forward with Velveteen Dream. So, and that's it. From now on, I'm covering him like I would cover anybody else. Something comes out that's different. But again, all I know is if somebody put threats on me and I was completely devastated by it and affected and tormented, and I am sure that this was done to me, I call an investigator and say, look, here's my number. This is when this happened. Investigate it. Cyber complaint. Let them investigate it. It's out of my hands. I filed now it's in their hands. Why wouldn't you do that? That's the first thing. That's why, you know what? I don't want to cause controversy with podcasters and writers, but 2 incidents. Number one, there is a writer blue check mark, does wrestling, a writer. A couple of years ago, somebody did death threats or said some really horrible stuff about, I think, his girlfriend. Instead of calling the cops, instead of filing a complaint, he calls the podcast company that hosts the guy's show. We had a podcaster within the last couple of years who said got loads of death threats from people, including his family, getting death threats. Why wouldn't you immediately call the cops and file a complaint? Instead, tweet. Doesn't make sense. You get threatened like that, you get sexually abused, you get, harassed, and the only reaction you do is tweet? Is there something I'm missing here? Anyway, Breezango is facing Imperium next week for the tag titles. Not only do I think Breezango is going to retain, but I think a team is going to come out and attack them. You still see how Indira Shear is being punished for the Keith Lee snapshot. I'm curious. Sooner or later, they got to do something with them. Maybe next week is the beginning of it. Maybe it's not even Indira Shear. Maybe it's a totally different tag team. But I almost feel like next week is just a blow-off to get another team to show up, attack Breezango. Maybe it's El Legado del Fantasma, which I don't think I want, but I want Breezango to keep these belts for a couple of months. All the years that they should have had some type of gold and didn't, I'd like to see them have a little run. Beat a couple of tag teams, not one or two in one-off matches. Have a feud or two and win. Johnny Gargano, that whole segment, oh my God, with Tegan Knox and Candice LeRae, they're having dinner, they had pasta, salad, water, wine, and you knew it was going to end up in a fight. It was so horrible. I mean, they did the usual awkward thing where Gargano's at the dinner table and the girls are trying to have a conversation and they're like looking at him like, get out of here. And then basically, Candice LeRae and Tegan Knox, they're trying to make up, but they're not making up. And it ends up that somebody gets wine thrown in their face. Tegan Knox gets salad thrown in her, on her shirt. Then somebody throws something and breaks the TV. And then the TV's all shattered, and then they show it turned on. It was just an awfully produced segment. I mean, it was just funny to see the dress that the attire that Tegan Knox chose to wear to go over a former friend's house for a nice dinner. Let me show up with short shorts and a t-shirt and, it was just, I don't know, man. I just thought the whole thing was poorly produced. And in the end, you knew there was going to be a continued falling out. It was just, I don't know, man. They were on a great momentum with Johnny Gargano. I've turned the corner with Gargano, and I'm digging him now. And, keep the attitude he has. But that segment yesterday that they did in the house, I thought was just, to me, it felt like filler. Again, they should have had that follow Rhea Ripley and Mercedes Martinez in the cage to open up the show. Maybe I would have enjoyed that a little bit more, but I didn't like it at all. Bronson Reed versus Austin Theory. It was a more competitive match than I thought, as was Roderick Strong versus Killian Dane. First off, Austin Theory selling some of Bronson Reed's moves. One of them gave everybody a flashback of Shawn Michaels versus Hulk Hogan from SummerSlam. Another one gave a lot of people flashbacks when Steve Austin stunned The Rock that time and The Rock flipped upside down. You got to see it. Austin Theory sold stuff yesterday. The selling was at some points more entertaining than the match. But Bronson Reed gets the win over Austin Theory. Killian Dane, I said this yesterday, I'm just not invested in him at all. He loses to Roderick Strong. Killian Dane, technically, we're all feeling he's a heel. After the match, Bobby Fish was interfering throughout the match, and that caused Killian Dane to win in the end. After the match was over, Roderick Strong and Killian Dane, they're going out a little bit. Bobby Fish gets involved, so we got a 2-on-1. Drake Maverick makes the save, and after Roderick Strong and Bobby Fish, retreat, Drake Maverick sticks out his hand, wants a handshake from Killian Dane, and instead Killian Dane knocks Drake Maverick on his ass. Basically like, I didn't ask for your help. So are we getting the new odd couple as a team? Are we going to get Killian Dane and Drake Maverick now? Two guys that, don't get along, but eventually will get along. It almost feels that way. VJ, I think they're going to bring back Lars soon. I don't know how, but I think they're going to bring him back soon. I tell you, I would have put him in Retribution. Guy's a freaking monster. I would have put him in Retribution. Just brainstorming. Steel cage match, Rhea Ripley beats Mercedes Martinez. It was an excellent match. I had made the statement yesterday that I thought Balor and Cole should have closed out the match before the cage match started. So as I was watching the cage match, I realized, the cage match was a very good match. It was fine as a main event. Any other night, I would have no problem with Mercedes Martinez and Rhea Ripley closing out NXT. Problem is, you had such an important match for the NXT Heavyweight Championship. That should have been the match to close out the show. I don't know why they did. Well, I kind of have my hunches why they did what they did, but you can't fault Mercedes Martinez and Rhea Ripley because they had an excellent match. Mercedes Martinez throws a couple of chairs. Singapore Kane in the cage before they close it. Table is in there as well, and the table would come into play at the very end. Rhea Ripley does the riptide off the second rope through a table for the win. Robert Stone, it was funny because a few people said this, and I could picture it, and I think it would have been funny. Robert Stone tried to climb the cage, and Rhea Ripley hits him with the kendo stick and knocks him out. So throughout the end of the match, Robert Stone is hanging along the top of the cage and he's knocked out. And a few people said last night is they should have opened up next week's NXT with the cage still assembled and Robert Stone still unconscious on top. I know it would have been stupid, but the visual just would have been funny. But they put on a great fight yesterday. I wish this match would have happened a week or two ago, because what it felt like to me going into it, remember Rhea Ripley and Mercedes Martinez a couple of weeks ago? They had their match, and then Mercedes Martinez was laid out outside the ring. She fell in a concrete splat, and it ends up we didn't get an NXT TakeOver match between the two, and it felt like they abruptly ended their feud on television before TakeOver. It almost felt like so many people spoke up complaining that Rhea Ripley and Mercedes Martinez should have gone longer, that they decided, you know what, let's do the cage match. And they picked up, where it left off a couple of weeks ago. Like the match they had a couple of weeks ago before TakeOver, it felt like that was the end of it. And then they did this. It just felt really out of place. It felt like somebody changed their mind and decided, let's have them go one more time. And some people are saying that too. Why would I do the Nikki Cross impersonation now? We're not doing SmackDown. Lexi, I got my family in Scotland. I can't lose. I need to win this, Lexi. Friday SmackDown, I want to see what I've been saying. Braun Strowman, Nikki Cross versus Alexa Bliss and Bray Wyatt, The Fiend. Or, if you really want to do a twist, Nikki Cross tries to get involved with The Fiend. But those four are interacting with each other. I'm telling you, Nikki Cross, Lexi, Fiend, and Braun, I think that's what you're going to get. I don't know if I'm going to like it, but so that's how you close out NXT. Excellent night for NXT. But again, I don't understand the match placement between the two. So, not complaining too much, but, I speak my mind. I give you my opinion. Very quickly, New Japan Pro Wrestling. They could have their G1 Climax tournament. It starts next week, September 19th. It ends October 18th. Very quickly, the blocks. Block A will be Kota Ibushi, Jeff Cobb, Okada, Tomohiro Ishii, Will Ospreay, Shingo Takagi, Minoru Suzuki, Taichi, Jay White, and Takahashi. In the B block, you have Hiroshi Tanahashi. I should add to this. Block A is Yujiro Takahashi. B block is Hiroshi Tanahashi, Juice Robinson, Hiroki Goto, Toru Yano, Yoshi-Hashi, Tetsuya Naito, Sanada, Zack Sabre Jr., Kenta, and Evil. So those are the blocks, for anybody who is interested, because I know a lot of you out there do follow New Japan Pro Wrestling. In 2 days, Saturday actually, September 12th, next Saturday the 19th, and the Saturday after, 3 weeks in a row, we're going to have Warrior Wrestling. Their Stadium Series is going to be taking place. It's on Fight TV. And I don't want to give all three cards now because we have 3 weeks to plug this. But I wanted to give you the lineup for this Saturday because it actually looks like a pretty decent lineup. I don't know exactly how much it is on Fight TV. Maybe somebody in the chat knows. But this Saturday for Warrior Wrestling Stadium Series, this is what they have lined up. Some of the names, you might be a little surprised. You would think, wait a minute, why is that person working this card? You have Brian Cage versus Alex Zane, TJP versus Alex Shelley, the Rascals versus Myron Reed, Chris Bay, and Jordan Oliver, Thunder Rosa versus Kimberly, Dan the Dad versus Elena Black, Joey Janela versus Warhorse, Daga versus Isaias Velasquez, and Tom Lawler versus Kevin Koo. Interesting card if you think about all the talents involved. So, again, anybody out there, do you know what the price is for this on Fight TV? Some people were asking me today if I have any codes to give away. I tell you, I don't understand. I mean, I'm a customer of Fight TV. I buy their pay-per-views. And for some reason, they don't send any codes my way. I mean, I'm not going to ask and beg for it. But, they send out these mass emails. And I get emails from them to plug some of their stuff. But never once, hey, you want to give out a couple of codes to your viewers? Nothing. I don't know why. I'm a little surprised. So... But, nobody has the price. So, but that is going to be Saturday. And I got news for you. I'm actually thinking about checking it out because as I'm actually saying this, they just added, and this might convince you to watch it. I just got this note now. Tessa Blanchard will be wrestling Saturday as well. And she's going to be taking on Kylie Ray. So that's a pretty strong card. If you look at it on paper, I mean, you got a little bit from Impact Wrestling, a little from AEW, a little from some other various feds, and you have Tessa Blanchard. Tessa Blanchard is back in the States, yeah. Interesting that Impact Wrestling doesn't try to rework out a deal with her. They must have really had burned some big-time bridges amongst each other. But interesting card Saturday. I'll tell you the truth. I am going to see it. I don't know if I'm going to see it Saturday because I know a lot of you out there that interact on my Discord page have been wanting game night the last couple of weeks. Couldn't do it last week because AEW's pay-per-view. But, a lot of people want game night to return. So I'm probably going to do game night Saturday night. So you're all welcome to play. You don't have to have any games installed. All you have to do is just go to the Discord channel, and I share my screen. And then you just open up your browser, you type in a link, and you play. And we have so much fun, man. Just you got to be prepared to laugh, and you got to be prepared to take a couple of jokes. Unfortunately, there's some people that will not play because they don't have thick skin. They can't take a joke. There's people out there who claim they have thick skin. They don't. They don't. And it's a shame. But, okay. Thank you, Sam. New Japan. Okay. They have, let me read this straight from Sam. Friday, September 11th, 10 p.m., New Japan Pro Wrestling Strong, Fighting Spirit Unleashed. They got a bundle pack. Episodes 1 through 3 of Pro Wrestling. $5.99. Fighting Spirit Unleashed. You're not even giving me this Warrior Wrestling one. You're giving me New Japan. $5.99. That's not a bad deal. I don't think Warrior Wrestling will be that cheap. My guess, that's got to be $9.99 or $14.99. So, you know what? I got the Don Tony Show Friday. It's the day before this event anyway. So I will do the research Friday. Maybe Fight will get me some promo codes for a change, and I'll have something to give away Friday too. I'll give you the further details on Friday. So with that said, want to give a birthday shout out to Dave the Wave, 1994, Bruno Camano, and JB Buff Bell. Thank you, Sam. Sam I am comes through. Yeah, just like I thought. $14.99. That's not bad. Tessa Blanchard versus Kylie Ray. That'll probably be the main event. Yeah, I mean, that's a pretty damn good card up and down the board. You know what I mean? Yeah, that's not a bad card. Brian Cage versus Alex Zane. TJP, Alex Shelley. You know, that's going to be a pretty good match. Thunder Rosa versus Kimberly is going to be good. Joey Janela versus Warhorse. Two guys, you know, a lot of you only know Warhorse from that AEW appearance, but they got some pretty good matches on tap. $14.99, not a bad deal. So thank you, Sam. I appreciate that. Thank you. So with that, everybody, I think I'm going to jet out of here. So we had a fun 2 hours and 40 minutes. You know, I really want to try my hardest to get these down to 2. We've had more topics to talk about than usual, and you know, we really dissected some AEW maybe a little bit too long tonight, but you know, had fun as always. I appreciate everybody for tuning in tonight. All caught up with the super chats, which is good. And I invite all of you, if you're not doing anything Friday night, 10:05 p.m. Eastern, right after SmackDown, join me right here once again. We'll do SmackDown recap. We will do the quarter-hour ratings for AEW and NXT. We'll see how close we all came to the ratings. Any news that breaks between now and then. And that's pretty much it. So, believe it or not, I think Friday night might end up being the easiest night as far as news goes to cover. There's a couple of things I want to get into Friday. I know that Chris Van Vliet, which I know a lot of you know, he's interviewing Andrew Yang. I'm not going to tune in. No interest. But I want to see if Chris hits him with some challenging questions about the independent contractor thing. Like I said, Andrew Yang, you know, he talked great on sound bites on Twitter, but, you know, he's a politician, first and foremost. And as I got into on Monday, he fished a lot of people in. I want to see, you know, sometimes, I'm not trying to be a jerk, but sometimes Chris needs to not smile when he asks questions. When you're just sitting there like, who's your favorite wrestler growing up? I feel like Jim Carrey with the mask. You know, who's your favorite wrestler growing up? Well, what do you like in AEW? Who's your favorite wrestler in NXT? You see how I'm talented. I could talk without one of my lists. Who do you want to see at WrestleMania next year? What do you think about this? What do you think about this? What do you think about that? Do you think of myself? Do I brush my teeth? You know, sometimes there's some challenging questions that require a serious face. I like Chris Van Vliet. But every time I see interviews, you know, like, yeah, look, he's a bright, sunny guy. And I try to be bright and sunny on all my shows as well. But it gets to a point. I mean, like, who are your favorite wrestlers going out? What did you think about Jig John Studd and your friend? Did you think WrestleMania 3? What do you think about this? Do you like wrestling? Do you like NWA TNA? Were you a fan of AEW growing up? What do you think about this? What's your favorite color? What's your favorite food? Be a little bit more serious once in a while, Chris. I'm telling you, I like the guy. But I want to hear some challenging questions to Andrew Yang. You know, sometimes it feels that some people are... There's a reason why everybody keeps going back to Chris for interviews. Because they're comfortable. They're absolutely comfortable. And that is fine. That is fine. When you have guests that are comfortable, they will come back. And other people will come as well. But sometimes when you talk some topics, you know, sometimes there's got to be some, you know, more serious discussion. Wow, I never did that before. I'm pretty talented. So, I never did that. So everyone, I hope you enjoyed tonight's show. Make sure you check it out Friday night. And everybody, give it a thumbs up before you go tonight. And tell everybody on the show. And I appreciate everything. And have a good night. And all the best. And I'll talk to you all soon. And this is starting to get played out. Starting to get played out, right? It's getting late, man. My fiance's probably pissed off. I told her, I said, the show starts at 10. I'll be done by 12. I'll call you after I'm done. Now it's almost 1 a.m. So, all right, everybody. I'm going to get out of here. Have a great night, as always. Much love. And I guess the best way for me to exit tonight, anyway, have a good night. I'll talk to you all on Friday at the SmackDown. Give it a thumbs up. Yay!
Don-O-Mite.
It was fun to channel surf. It was kind of hard to do a little pocket pool after you hitting the last channel button 50 times for 2 hours plus.
Don-O-Mite.
And his whole idea of overanalyzing, he's an alcoholic and he misplaced the belt. And how could you have someone champion like that? The fuck out of here.
Wednesday night.
Don-O-Mite, you can have fun. You really are.
In case you didn't hear before, good night, everybody. Have a great night. All the best, and I'll talk to you all soon. Ciao.
Don-O-Mite.
It was fun to channel surf. It was kind of hard to do a little pocket pool after you hitting the last channel button 50 times for 2 hours plus.
Don-O-Mite.
And his whole idea of overanalyzing, he's an alcoholic and he misplaced the belt. And how could you have someone champion like that? The fuck out of here.
Wednesday night.
Fuck it.
Don-O-Mite, you can have fun. You really are.